Chapter 3248. Don't worry. No matter how strong the divine artifact is, he's still a child with a treasured sword. It's easy to catch his weakness. The horn's artifact spirit replied to Lin Dongqing and began to search for Knight Soro's weakness. Lin Dongqing, on the other hand, burned his bloodline power and consumed a pill that temporarily increased his strength and speed. He began to fight against Knight Soro. During the battle, he realized that although Knight Soro was only a half-step Sky Supreme, he was not weaker than him in any aspect. This made him question the one-horned child's words. Be careful. That horn seems to have recovered. After Knight Soro killed another one of Lin Dongqing's subordinates, the restriction-breaking hammer suddenly reminded him. They could feel that the horn had recovered and was preparing to attack. I know. After a while, I'll purposely reveal a weakness and let the horn attack, then use the ancient coffin to block it. As for the eternal divine tower, it will directly attack Lin Dongqing and kill him. Knight Soro transmitted his voice to the restriction-breaking hammer and asked, Little Five, how much longer do you need? 5 breaths. Little Five answered without hesitation. The answer was very precise. Okay, I'll reveal a weakness in 5 breaths and let the horn attack. You guys calculate the time. Knight Soro said and continued to fight against Lin Dongqing. With the help of the Dragon Sparrow Divine Talisman, his speed was extremely fast. Lin Dongqing could barely keep up. At this time, Knight Soro sent a dozen more talisman combinations to slow down Lin Dongqing's speed. For a moment, Lin Dongqing's movements became abnormally slow. In this state, Knight Soro naturally had no problem dragging on for 5 breaths. Once the 5 breaths were up, Knight Soro immediately used the Divine Essence Trap Array and the Divine Spear on Lin Dongqing. He had exposed himself to the horn. Good chance. I'm going to attack. Seeing that Knight Soro had completely exposed himself to him, the horn's artifact spirit transmitted his voice to Lin Dongqing and directly attacked Knight Soro. You're going to die. Looks like our battle can't be carried out normally. Meanwhile, Lin Dongqing was looking at Yishan with a grim smile on his face. In his eyes, Knight Soro was already a dead man. You're half right. One of us is going to die, so the battle can't proceed as planned. Looking at the wildly laughing Lin Dongqing, Knight Soro immediately took out the ancient coffin to block Du Jiao's attack. As for the Eternal Divine Tower, it launched a vicious attack at Lin Dongqing at close range. This attack was a genuine attack from someone who was half a step to the limitless realm. Lin Dongqing, who did not have a half-step Supreme Stage defensive divine artifact, was immediately reduced to ashes. Even the horn that was blocked by the ancient coffin once again was blasted to smithereens. It was as if he was about to drop out of the half-step Supreme Realm. Amazing! I didn't expect you to be able to kill Lin Dongqing and the others. Dancing Lady, who was watching the battle in Knight Soro's space, immediately praised when she saw that Knight Soro had completed his counterattack. Today's victory was due to luck. If not for our good luck and obtaining the 6th level of the Eternal Divine Tower, we would have been forced to flee. Knight Soro said humbly, then continued, Now that we have 2 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills, why don't we find a place to consume them first and then come out to fight for them? This way we have a better chance. What do you think? Hearing this, Su Lei, who was recovering, said, I'm still recovering. You and Dancing Lady should consume them first. If you can become a heavenly sovereign here, I believe you can definitely defeat everyone. In my opinion, it won't be as easy for you to become a heavenly sovereign. 1 Sovereign Heaven Origin pill is definitely not enough. You should consume both of them. Whirling Woman said slowly. In her opinion, a half-step heavenly sovereign like Knight Soro could fight against an upper heavenly sovereign. If he wanted to advance, it would definitely be many times more difficult than ordinary cultivators. 1 Sovereign Heaven Origin pill was definitely not enough. I'll try consuming 1 first. After Dancing Lady finished speaking, Knight Soro found a quiet place and set up a concealment array. He then summoned Dancing Lady to be on guard. He then took out 1 Sovereign Heaven Origin pill and consumed it. How do you feel? Is it no effect at all? After Night Sorrow consumed the Sovereign Heaven Origin pill, he did not have any reaction after about 10 breaths. Dancing Lady asked doubtfully, "It's effective, but according to my judgment, if I want to become a heavenly sovereign directly, I need at least 10 of these Sovereign Heaven Origin pills." Night Sorrow said, then took out another Sovereign Heaven Origin pill and handed it to Dancing Lady. He said, "You should consume this one first. This is our best choice. All right, your body is really a bottomless pit, but it's okay. We'll continue to search in the ancient ruins." Dancing Lady was not a conflicted person. She took the Sovereign Heaven Origin pill and consumed it immediately. Not long after, her aura began to grow rapidly. Finally, she successfully became an upper heavenly sovereign. After successfully passing the tribulation, Dancing Lady looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Although I have become an upper heavenly sovereign, there is a limit to my strength. I still need time to strengthen. You have reached the realm. You can slowly polish it or absorb resources to improve it." Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe Dancing Lady, then said, "No matter what, you are already one step ahead of most people. The level of upper heavenly sovereign is not something that ordinary people can reach. Yes, above upper heavenly sovereign, they're only half step to supreme realm and supreme realm. You are already an expert among experts." Sule congratulated Lady Hassa. Now that she was only a lower heavenly sovereign, she was very envious of Dancing Lady. "Thank you for taking care of me. In the future, we will continue to work together and break through to half-step to Supreme Realm and Supreme Realm together," Dancing Lady said in a good mood. After becoming an upper heavenly sovereign, there were not many cultivators in the world who were higher than her. No matter what, she was very happy. "All right, let's break through to the realm you mentioned." Night Sorrow looked at Dancing Lady and found that she did not have the aptitude to break through to Supreme Realm, but he did not say anything to undermine her confidence. Then he said to Sule, "The next Sovereign Heaven Origin pill that we find will be given to you. You can consume it directly, or like Dancing Lady, you can consume it after you become a middle heavenly sovereign." "I did not do anything. I am not qualified to get the Sovereign Heaven Origin pill so early. If you get it, you can consume it. When you have successfully advanced, it will not be too late for me to take it." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Sule shook her head and objected. "All right, let's talk about it after we get it." Night Sorrow saw Sule's objection and did not say anything more. Then, he brought the two ladies into the Eternal Divine Tower to recover. When they had almost recovered, Little Five suddenly sent a message to Night Sorrow. "Night Sorrow, can you give us the horn?" "Oh, what do you need the horn for?" Night Sorrow asked curiously. Chapter 3249. Encountering Jielin. Yes. The horn is very useful to us. After Xiao answered, he explained, "Although we have recovered to the level of a half-step to the Supreme Realm Divine Artifact, if we want to continuously attack at the level of a half-step to the Supreme Realm, we need a lot of resources. If we have this horn, we can attack many times at the level of a half-step to the Supreme Realm in the future." "I see. Then take it out." When Night Sorrow heard Xiaowu's words, he did not hesitate and threw the horn out for them to absorb. "Don't you think it's a pity that a half-step to the Supreme Realm Divine Artifact is being absorbed like a resource?" Seeing Yi Shang throw the horn away, Dancing Woman felt that it was a waste of God's gift. Sacrificing a horn is equivalent to gaining the protection of a half-step to the Supreme Realm Expert. In this way, we will have the ability to survive in the ancient ruins. "It's quite suitable," Night Sorrow analyzed, then said, "However, if I get another half-step to the Supreme Realm Divine Artifact in the future, I will leave it to you and Sule." "That's not what I meant. Every half-step to the Supreme Realm Divine Artifact is extremely precious. I can't take it." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Dancing Lady was a little embarrassed. "It's okay. We are friends and have good things to share," Night Sorrow said indifferently. He really did not care much about divine artifacts. At this time, Sule asked, Now that we have recovered, should we go out? It's good to go out now. However, on the list provided by Elder Sue, there are 3 people worth paying attention to. I think the 3 of them are probably from the middle of the courtyard. Their methods should be very powerful, so we have to be careful. After leaving the Eternal Divine Tower, Night Sorrow looked at the list provided by Elder Sue again. He found that the 3 of them were probably from the middle of the courtyard that Dancing Lady had mentioned. He felt that he should pay special attention to them. He reminded the 2 of them to be careful, but he was still very interested in them. After all, the 3 of them could be suitable targets for possession. Fairy Lin, Meng He, Zhu Qingxian. These 3 are all upper heavenly sovereigns and have never lost in a battle of the same level. They are probably from the middle of the courtyard. If we encounter them, we have to be careful. Dancing Woman took the list from Elder Sue and said in agreement after reading it. Even Lin Dongqing was able to take out a half-step to the Supreme Realm Divine Artifact. Who knew what the geniuses of the Central Courtyard would be able to take out? The 3 of them had to be on guard. Why is there a sea in front of us? As soon as Dancing Woman finished speaking, Su Lei pointed to the front in confusion. Following her finger, Night Sorrow looked with the sea serpent's eye and saw a boundless sea. What's going on? We didn't see any ocean just now, Night Sorrow said doubtfully. Whirling Woman frowned and said, Are we in an illusion again? That should be the case. It seems like there are illusions in the ancient ruins too, Su Lei said with a frown. She felt that the ocean in front of her made her very uncomfortable, and her expression immediately became very bad. Su Lei, are you all right? Night Sorrow turned his head to look at Su Lei. Seeing that her complexion was very pale, he asked with concern. I don't know either. I can't seem to stand steadily in front of this ocean. It's like he's being suppressed by something, Su Lei said in detail. At this moment, Night Sorrow looked at Whirling Woman and said, Whirling Woman, do you have that feeling? No, I don't. Whirling Woman shook her head and denied it. While she used her eye technique to look at the ocean, she did not see anything. There's a huge black shadow in the ocean. It must have come with ill intentions. Everyone, be careful. Night Sorrow, who had opened the sea serpent's eye and looked at the ocean, found a huge black shadow in the ocean. It seemed to have scales, and its body was very long. It looked a little like a dragon, but it was not. You can actually see me. Your eye technique is not bad. Your eyes are mine now. As soon as Night Sorrow finished speaking, a huge wave rose in the ocean. On top of the wave stood a slim female cultivator. How arrogant! After the female cultivator finished speaking, Whirling Woman ridiculed her. However, she soon discovered that the other party was an upper heavenly supreme, and her aura was very powerful. At this moment, Night Sorrow put Su Lei, who was feeling even more uncomfortable, into the space cave. Then, he looked at the female cultivator in front of him and said, You are the black shadow in the ocean, right? I told you. Your eye technique is very powerful. Hearing this, the black-robed female cultivator smiled and said, Dig out your eyeballs and give them to me, and I will let you live. How arrogant! Before Night Sorrow could speak, Whirling Woman sneered and said, Come on, let's see if you can get the eyeballs, or we can get the leather belt. You dare to provoke me, Jielin, repeatedly? Do you think you're so great just because you're an upper heavenly supreme? Jielin, who had been scolded by Whirling Woman, looked at her coldly and waved his hand to hit her. You are stronger than me, but you are not qualified to defeat me with one hit. Originally, Yishang had wanted to help, but Lady Whirling Suo had used the secret art of the vertical eye. She really caught it. I didn't expect a native like you to have some talent. After being blocked by Whirling Woman, Jielin said expressionlessly before smiling and saying, That vertical eye of yours is not bad either. It's also mine. With your eyeballs, this trip to the ancient site. Don't talk nonsense. You can talk about it after you defeat us. If I am not wrong, you're the Fairy Lin that others have been talking about, right? Night Sorrow looked at Jielin, and as he spoke, he started to use the Tristrimsa battle technique and the art of destruction. He also held the golden heavenly halberd in his hand and prepared for battle. At this moment, Su Lei, who was in the space paradise, reminded him, Jialin is the same as Yujia. They are both legendary existences. Although she is not a pure-blood Jialin, her bloodline talent is much stronger than mine. She should be very strong. You have to be careful. Okay, I will be careful, Knight Sorrow replied as he continued to look at Jialin, waiting for her to make the first move. At this moment, Jialin laughed and said, Fairy Lin? I don't like that name. I prefer to be called the Scaled Witch. Soon you will know why. As soon as she finished speaking, she shot out thousands of black scales at Knight Sorrow and Whirling Woman. Every scale shone with powerful runes. When she got close to Knight Sorrow and Whirling Woman, these scales would shoot out extremely powerful attacks. In an instant, Knight Sorrow and Whirling Woman were having a hard time resisting. As expected of someone from the middle court, you are indeed very strong. Jielin's attack was between an upper heavenly supreme and a half-step to the extreme realm. It was very strong. Knight Sorrow could resist it, but Whirling Woman was having a hard time. Yishang exclaimed in admiration. Then he put Dancing Woman into his space grotto heaven and fought Jielin alone. Chapter 3250. I didn't expect that even though I've become an upper heavenly supreme, I still can't hold my own in Lu Tian Academy. Dancing Lady, who had been summoned into the space cave, looked at Su Lei and said unwillingly. Hearing this, Su Lei comforted her. Don't worry, you've just become an upper heavenly supreme, so you're naturally weaker than Jielin. Slowly accumulate, and you may not lose to him in the future. Look, I'm suppressed by his bloodline, but I don't feel despair. If I follow Knight Sorrow, I may be able to catch up, but this makes me very uneasy. I don't know what to do. Dancing Lady sighed. She wasn't willing to submit, but her future would be limited if she relied on herself. At this moment, Su Lei persuaded her. Your ability is limited. It may not be a bad choice to rely on the strong. I've already chosen to submit to him. I hope you can also consider it. Let me think about it, Dancing Lady replied, then watched the battle between Knight Sorrow and Jielin. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was slightly at a disadvantage in his battle with Jielin, but his defense was impenetrable, and he wasn't injured. After fighting for a few breaths, Jielin said with interest, I thought you were only an Earth Supreme, but I didn't expect you to be so strong as well. You're really a talent. How about this? I'll give you a chance to submit. As long as you submit to me and cooperate with me in exploring the ancient ruins, I won't gouge out your eyes. Sorry, I'm used to being idle, and I'm not under much control. But there's a solution to this. Knight Sorrow looked at Jielin, who was panting, and smiled. Why don't you submit to me, and I'll naturally bring you to explore the ancient ruins and find opportunities. Bastard, I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like this? Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Jielin was immediately furious. Then who do you think you are, talking to me like this? Knight Sorrow replied coldly. I'm someone who can kill you. Jielin, who was already enraged, roared and once again used his scales to attack Yi Sorrow. This time, after the scales flew out, they all turned into beetles and scaled insects. Tens of thousands of beetles and scaled worms appeared and immediately attacked Knight Sorrow. This must be Jielin's bloodline ability. Knight Sorrow frowned when he saw the thousands of beetles and scaled insects charging at him. He then cast the secret word of truth to slow them down. At the same time, he shot out his Inferno devil-subduing spear and used the flames in the sky to burn everything. When the flames in the sky had some effect, he used Soft Dragon Roar, bombarding the beetles and scaled insects in the sky. After suffering 2 consecutive attacks, almost half of the beetles and scaled insects that Jielin had summoned had died. However, the remaining ones became even crazier under Jielin's control. Although Knight Sorrow did not have a hard time dealing with the beetles and scaled worms that filled the sky and attacked him, his god's domain was not damaged. But soon, he discovered that Jielin had summoned another batch of beetles and scaled insects. So, it can continue to summon. No wonder it couldn't stop my attack just now. Knight Sorrow immediately understood what was going on when he noticed that Jielin had once again summoned a large number of beetles and scaled insects. He attacked these things again. After killing 3 or 4 batches, Night Sorrow discovered that Jielin's presence had not decreased at all. He completely understood that Jielin's bloodline ability could summon these things endlessly to exhaust the opponent. He immediately sent a message to Little Five. Little Five, after absorbing the power of the horn, did you manage to form a half-step paramount realm attack? According to Night Sorrow's judgment, Jielin clearly still had energy left. It would be very difficult to kill him. Yes, but the energy absorbed is only enough for one attack. According to my judgment, Jielin should also have a half-step paramount realm divine artifact. One attack might not be able to kill him. Little Five quickly reported to Night Sorrow. I know, she must have something to rely on for her to be so arrogant. But since the battle has started, we cannot be the ones to retreat. Even if we can't kill her in one attack, we must injure her severely. Night Sorrow said and then said murderously, Get ready. We will teach her a lesson she will remember. Don't worry, we can use this attack at any time. As Little Five replied, she was already prepared to attack. Very good. When I create the Divine Essence Trap Array, I will summon you. Once you are summoned, attack immediately. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who is still killing beetles and scale bugs, used the sea serpent's eye to observe Jielin's movements and lock onto his true body. Then he suddenly created the Divine Essence Trap Array. After the Eternal Divine Tower was summoned, it immediately attacked the trapped Jielin with a half-step paramount realm attack. The attack contained a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering power. What? It's an attack from a half-step paramount realm divine artifact. Jielin, who was originally full of confidence in using beetles and scale bugs to devour Night Sorrow, was shocked. In a situation where she could not dodge, she immediately took out her half-step paramount realm divine artifact, the Heaven Suppressing Lock. She used it to block the Eternal Divine Tower's attack. Although the Heaven Suppressing Lock was a half-step paramount realm divine artifact, in a hurry, it naturally did not have the ability to block the Eternal Divine Tower's full attack. Jielin was directly sent flying. The beetles and scaled insects that Jielin had summoned all vanished in a thin air. Oh, hit by a half-step paramount realm attack, and not seriously injured. This strength is indeed not to be underestimated. Night Sorrow, who was observing the other party with the sea serpent's eye, discovered that Jielin was completely unharmed after being hit and was stunned. From this attack, he determined that this Jielin's strength was already infinitely close to half-step paramount realm and was not easy to deal with. Bastard, how dare you use a half-step paramount realm divine artifact to attack me? Do you think that only you have a half-step paramount realm divine artifact? After being blasted far away, Jielin, who was once again suspended in the void, her expression became completely gloomy. Her previous ease was gone, replaced by thick, killing intent. She sized up Night Sorrow and did not say anything. She directly summoned the slightly damaged Heaven Suppressing Lock and smashed it at Night Sorrow. She probably doesn't know how to use the divine artifact in front of her. In other words, she did not completely make it recognize her as its master, and we have a chance to snatch it. Seeing that Jielin actually smashed the Heaven-Suppressing Lock over, Little Seven immediately spoke. Oh, this half-step paramount realm divine artifact can be snatched by force? Facing the Heaven-Suppressing Lock, Night Sorrow did not panic. As he asked, he took out the ancient coffin from the space. He used the ancient coffin to block this attack. Because if he used the Eternal Divine Tower to block this attack, the Eternal Divine Tower would definitely be damaged. And ever since the ancient coffin appeared, it had never broken through its defenses. Using a broken coffin to block my Heaven-Suppressing Lock. You're dead meat. Jielin, who saw Night Sorrow summon the ancient coffin, had a look of disdain. Chapter 32:51. Knowledge is a good thing. It's a pity you don't have it. Night Sorrow did not move in the face of Jielin's provocation. At the same time, Jielin's Heaven-Suppressing Lock hit the coffin's defensive layer. After being hit by the Heaven-Suppressing Lock, the coffin's defensive layer was immediately damaged. However, in the end, the heaven-suppressing lock did not completely break through the coffin's defense. What kind of treasure is this? Its defense is so strong. Seeing that the heaven-suppressing lock's full power attack could not even break through the coffin's defense, Jielin was shocked. He looked at Night Sorrow in a completely different way, because the heaven-suppressing lock was her strongest divine weapon. Other than that, it could not unleash a stronger attack. For a moment, Jielin was already stunned by the coffin. He could not think of any attack that could hurt it. At this moment, Night Sorrow was also shocked. He did not expect Jielin's heaven-suppressing lock to be able to damage the coffin's defensive layer to this extent. He thought to himself, I did not expect Jielin's divine weapon to be so powerful. I wonder if the coffin can withstand a few more attacks before it collapses. No, according to our senses, the coffin's damage this time should not be because of Jielin's divine weapon. It is because the coffin is about to be born. At this moment, the male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer said to Night Sorrow through telepathy, What? Are you sure? Hearing this, Night Sorrow was immediately puzzled. This was not a small matter. It could not be underestimated. After all, the last time he saw the coffin, the one that came out was from the heaven-deceiving tribe. Who knew what would come out from the coffin in front of them? We can't be 100% sure. However, what we said has a high probability of becoming reality. The male hammer said confidently. He and the female hammer could see some changes in the runes around the coffin. I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse. After the male hammer finished speaking, Night Sorrow immediately started to worry. If there was a cultivator like the heaven-deceiving tribe inside, it would not be easy to deal with. Night Sorrow, Jielin has escaped. Just as Night Sorrow and the restriction-breaking hammer were communicating, Su Lei suddenly transmitted his voice. Escaped? Then let her escape. Let's continue searching for the Sovereign Heaven Origin Pill. Since Jielin wants the eye technique so badly, it must be that the eye technique will play a big role in this. Night Sorrow had no intention of chasing after Jielin. After saying a few words to the two girls, he looked into the distance. After Jielin disappeared, the ocean in front of them also disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by scattered swamps. Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe for a while, and discovered that there were many sky supremes in the swamp. Thus, he asked, Xiaowu, do you still have any use for the heavenly sovereign ferocious beast that you've collected? Hearing this question, Little Five smiled and said, Now that we have the horn to absorb, we don't need to absorb the energy of these ferocious beasts. Good. Let's cross the swamp in front of us and continue to look for opportunities. According to the records, this should only be the entrance to the ancient site. There's still a lot of space inside. Night Sorrow said and led everyone into the swamp. As soon as he entered, he was attacked by an intermediate heavenly sovereign dragon crocodile. After dealing with it, he proudly continued forward. Seeing that the dragon crocodile was killed, many of the ferocious beasts in the swamp calmed down a little. Although their killing intent continued to spread, not many of them dared to approach. I wonder where Chao Meng got the Sovereign Heaven Origin Pill. Dancing Lady, who had just recovered, said after Night Sorrow crossed the swamp and walked into a rocky mountain in front of them. She used her eye technique to look around, but she didn't see the Sovereign Heaven Origin Pill at all. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, According to the information given by Elder Su, the Sovereign Heaven Origin Pill should be scattered around the ancient site. We can't find it now, so it should be that someone else has already found it. If we continue to go deeper, we should be able to find something with our eye technique. I hope so. Dancing Lady agreed when she thought of Jielin, who was preparing to snatch the eye technique. There are half-ultimate realm ferocious beasts in the rocky mountain below. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was flying in the air, suddenly transmitted his voice to the two ladies. Originally, he was flying quite leisurely, thinking that even if he encountered an upper heavenly sovereign, he wouldn't be much of a threat. Now, however, he was trembling with fear. In the rocky mountain directly below them, there was a dragon lizard half a step into the limitless realm. The dragon lizard was absorbing the essence of the sun and moon, obviously cultivating. Let's go around it. It's best not to disturb it, Dancing Lady said immediately when she saw that the dragon lizard was indeed half ultimate realm with her eye technique. Of course, there's no need to get into a conflict with it, Yishang said. Then, he led Dancing Woman and Su lay away from Dragon Lizard, who was half a step away from the Supreme Realm. However, they didn't go far before they encountered another half-ultimate realm ferocious beast in a vast mountain. This time, they encountered a tall white ape. When Night Sorrow and the rest saw the white ape from afar, it was hunting for prey. Under its attack, the upper heavenly sovereign ferocious beast couldn't fight back at all. It killed them with just one punch. What powerful strength! This time, we still have to go around it, Dancing Lady said immediately when she saw that the half-ultimate realm white ape was so fierce. It's not difficult to go around it, but looking at the situation, there are many half-ultimate realm ferocious beasts in this ancient site. With Jielin and the rest, the danger of this trip is far beyond our imagination. Although Night Sorrow said that it was dangerous, he was actually excited. He knew that the more dangerous a place was, the more opportunities there would be. As long as he could advance to Heavenly Sovereign here, some of the dangers in front of him could be easily resolved. Oh no, I realized that the white ape's gaze is not right. Right at this moment, Swaying Woman suddenly reminded Night Sorrow. Is that so? When Night Sorrow heard this, he turned to look at the white ape and saw that it was indeed looking in his direction. He suddenly felt as if he was being stared at by an ancient ferocious beast. He transmitted his voice to Dancing Lady. Enter my space hollow. This time, we might have to run for our lives. The Eternal Divine Tower had yet to prepare its next attack, and the ancient coffin's defensive layer had begun to weaken. Night Sorrow didn't want to fight with a half-ultimate realm ferocious beast. When he realized that the white ape was staring at them, he immediately increased his speed and continued to fly deeper into the ancient site. Oh, whoa. Just as Night Sorrow increased his speed, the white ape was enraged. As if enraged, White Ape immediately leaped and chased after Night Sorrow. Why is this fellow suddenly targeting us? When the White Ape started to chase, Night Sorrow immediately activated the Treastrimsa Battle Mystic technique and the destruction of heaven and earth. He used the 9 defiant steps and quickly fled deeper into the ancient site. Chapter 3252. Facing the White Ape, Night Sorrow did not use the word formula or the divine essence trapping array. He knew that against a beast half a step to the supreme level, these would not have any effect at all. After chasing for a while and failing to catch up with Night Sorrow, the White Ape went completely berserk. Its whole body emitted a thick red mist, and its aura increased greatly in an instant. Its speed also increased. In a moment, the distance between them was shortened. Oh no! After the White Ape accelerated, its speed is not inferior to mine. It will be difficult for us to shake it off. We have to think of a way. Night Sorrow, who noticed that the White Ape's speed had obviously increased after going berserk, frowned and said. At the same time, he kept thinking of countermeasures in his mind. His first thought was to lure the White Ape to the Dragon Lizard, who was also half a step to the supreme level, and let them fight. But after thinking about it, he realized that it was not possible. So he looked ahead. At this moment, in front of Night Sorrow and the others was an extremely primitive and continuous mountain range. There were many beasts hidden in the mountain range. Night Sorrow even saw 2 cultivators, but he did not see any beast half a step to the supreme level. So, there was no chance of a third party benefiting from the fight between the Sandpiper and the Clam. He did not hesitate and continued to move forward. After flying over the mountain range, Night Sorrow and Dancing Lady saw at the same time that there was an open area in front of them. In the open area, there was a huge chessboard. This chessboard was refined by someone with black meteoric iron, and it was obviously a magic artifact. It was blocking the only way. When they flew over the chessboard, Night Sorrow immediately felt a huge pulling force, and he was instantly pulled into the chessboard. The white ape, who had been chasing him, was pulled when it got close to the chessboard. It exploded and struggled to break free. It did not even look back and fled into the distance. I did not expect to get rid of the white ape so easily. But how do we get past this chessboard? Knight Sorrow, who was pulled into the chessboard, quickly realized that they had entered a chaotic world. On the chessboard, the chess piece closest to them instantly turned into a huge white ape and attacked. This white ape's strength is only at the level of a middle heavenly sovereign. It can't be the same one. After scanning it with the sea serpent's eye, Knight Sorrow discovered that although the white ape in front of him looked the same as the one from before, it was much weaker. With these words, he began to use the 33 Heavens arcane combat art, revolving it to destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. However, as soon as Armageddon was activated, Knight Sorrow suffered a backlash and spat out a mouthful of blood. Not good. I shouldn't be able to use Armageddon continuously. I've been using it too frequently. Knight Sorrow, who was vomiting blood, immediately understood what had happened. At this time, seeing Knight Sorrow vomit blood, the whirling woman in the space said, "Let me out. Let me fight against the white ape in front of me. I've almost recovered too. Let me go out and fight too." Sule, who had rested for a long time, also said, "Then I'll have to rely on you guys for the time being." Knight Sorrow's current state was indeed not suitable for battle. He immediately summoned the two girls. He let them fight against the white ape that the chess piece had transformed into. Knight Sorrow entered the Eternal Divine Tower to recover. After Knight Sorrow summoned the whirling woman and Sule, Little Seven immediately transmitted a message to Knight Sorrow. "Good. I didn't expect the backlash of Armageddon to be so serious." After Knight Sorrow said that, he entered the Eternal 10 times space to absorb energy and recover. He didn't even have the energy to watch the battle between the whirling woman and Sule. After Knight Sorrow consumed the elixir and absorbed the energy of the Eternal Divine Tower to recover, Little Seven said, "In my opinion, that Mia is not a good person. It's better not to use his ultimate skill in the future. I don't know if it's because this Mia's ultimate skill is incomplete or if I've used it too frequently. This side effect is too harmful to the body. It seems that I can't use it casually in the future unless it's time to fight for my life." Feeling the damage in his body, Knight Sorrow replied laboriously. He could feel that after he used Armageddon consecutively, the blood in his body seemed to be boiling and would burn other parts of his body, causing him to feel a stinging pain. Moreover, his body couldn't gather any power. "You might as well give up completely. When we help you advance to Heavenly Supreme, you won't need so many tricks to face the experts of the foggy area or the heaven-deceiving alien tribe. With your strength, you should be able to stand firm." Little Seven comforted him. "I don't know if I'll form any karma in the future after cultivating Mia's ultimate skill." Knight Sorrow, who was in the midst of recovery, continued to analyze. The 3 Supremes in the foggy area had always been his imaginary enemies, and he would definitely face them in the future. He was about to advance to Heavenly Supreme, and he couldn't help but worry about the future. "Don't worry. With your luck, can't you suppress such a small matter?" Little Seven continued to comfort him. "Yes. No matter if Mia deliberately left this ultimate skill for me, or if it's like this, when we meet in the future, I will defeat him." Knight Sorrow, who suspected that Mia deliberately left this ultimate skill behind, said with certainty. After straightening out his thoughts, he began to recover normally. After about 20 hours, his body had completely recovered in the Eternal Divine Tower. At this time, Dancing Lady and Sule had just joined forces and killed the white ape that the chess piece had transformed into. After fighting for 2 hours, the 2 women had consumed a lot of energy, and it was obvious that they were tired. "Thank you for your hard work." Knight Sorrow, who walked out of the Eternal Divine Tower, saw that the 2 women had consumed a lot of energy and immediately said, "Be careful. Fighting here consumes 10 times more energy than usual. If not, we wouldn't be in such a sorry state." At this time, Sule, who was panting unevenly, explained. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow nodded and said, I know. This chessboard is definitely not simple. Quickly enter the Eternal Divine Tower to recover, and leave the rest to me. That's the only way. Su Lei responded and flew into the Eternal Divine Tower. Dancing Lady glanced at Knight Sorrow and said, This expectation is very unusual. You have to be careful. Yes, I will. Knight Sorrow replied, and then shrank the Eternal Divine Tower and carried it at his waist. He continued to move forward. Before he could walk 100 miles, he encountered another chess piece. This chess piece was even more special. It actually transformed into the appearance of Sikong Chuyu in front of Knight Sorrow. Chuyu, although Knight Sorrow's mind was calm, and he was not controlled by the chessboard. He had not seen Sikong Chuyu's appearance for many years, and after seeing it, he felt a little emotional. Knight Sorrow, be careful. Just when Knight Sorrow was slightly absent-minded, Little Seven suddenly reminded him. Because the chess piece that had transformed into the appearance of Sikong Chuyu had already launched an attack on Knight Sorrow. And this attack was very fierce, going straight for Knight Sorrow's Dantian. If he was hit, he would definitely be crippled. Chapter 3253. Chuyu, don't worry. I will solve this problem as soon as possible and return to meet you. Knight Sorrow, who had regained his senses, looked at the chess piece that looked like Sikong Chuyu and said slowly. Then, he held the golden heavenly halberd in his hand. He swung out an attack to block the opponent's sneak attack. Husband, we haven't seen each other for a long time. You actually want to kill me? Then don't blame me for being heartless. The chess piece that looked like Sikong Chuyu was blocked. She immediately released an endless murderous aura. She attacked Knight Sorrow again. Her attack was very similar to the ultimate technique that Sikong Chuyu had used before. In a trance, Knight Sorrow seemed to have returned to the time when they first met and fought with the purple gold beast king. Sigh. In the blink of an eye, it was already a matter of millions of years ago. Looking at the chess piece that looked like Sikong Chuyu, Knight Sorrow sighed and used the golden heavenly halberd to shoot out the divine spear. After dodging her attack with the 9 defiant steps, he used the divine spear to pierce her Dantian. Husband, you have fallen into my trap. However, at this moment, the chess piece that looked like Sikong Chuyu revealed a sly smile. She took out a hand knife and stabbed at Knight Sorrow's chest. Her Dantian was pierced, but she was not like a cultivator who was directly crippled. Seeing the chess piece that looked like Sikong Chuyu stabbing at him with a hand knife, Knight Sorrow immediately reacted. His opponent was a chess piece that was different from cultivator. It was very likely that she did not have a Dantian. Fortunately, his body was strong enough. After being stabbed by the hand knife, his body was not penetrated. That was close. As Yishang rejoiced, he suddenly struck out a palm at Sikong Chuyu, who had transformed into a chess piece. As the two of them were very close, the chess piece that looked like Sikong Chuyu did not have a chance to dodge at all and was hit by the attack. After sending him flying, Knight Sorrow could be considered to have succeeded in 2 moves. Being hit by 1 move wasn't a loss. Furthermore, the Sikong Chuyu that the chess piece had transformed into suddenly became somewhat illusory after it was sent flying. It was very likely that his energy had decreased. At this moment, Little Seven transmitted his voice. Knight Sorrow, can you restrain him? We want to absorb such a chess piece. Oh, what do you need this chess piece for? Knight Sorrow asked as he attacked. This chess piece wasn't at the half-step Paramount Realm. Logically speaking, it wouldn't be of much use to the Eternal Divine Tower. Little Seven replied, It's like this. The few of us saw that this chess piece was different from a cultivator, so we wanted to study her energy composition. All right, I'll capture him. After Yishang responded, he once again attacked Sikong Chuyu, who was transformed from a chess piece. Under his suppression, the chess piece didn't resist for long before it was absorbed into the Eternal Divine Tower. Not long after the chess piece was absorbed, Little Seven transmitted his voice. Knight Sorrow, it's indeed similar to what we thought. This chess piece is formed from extremely pure energy. It's like the energy body of the thunder calamity. Now we've successfully converted it into energy. Although this energy won't be of much help for you to become a heavenly supreme, it can help Su Lei. Do you want to give the energy to her and let her absorb it? Give it to her. She has completely surrendered to us. Knight Sorrow didn't hesitate and told Su Lei about this matter. Then, he let her absorb the energy that the chess piece had turned into. After absorbing this energy, she was only one step away from becoming a middle heavenly supreme. Feeling the changes in the energy in her body, Su Lei said gratefully, "Knight Sorrow, thank you. We're friends. You're welcome." Knight Sorrow, who no longer hid his name from Su Lei, replied. He looked into the distance and said, "Now, what we need to do is to leave this chessboard." However, the white ape, who is half a step to the supreme realm, immediately fled when it saw this chessboard. This proves that it's definitely not simple. The two of you rest in the eternal divine tower for the time being. I'll explore the way. Thank you for your hard work. We'll try to recover as soon as possible. Dancing Lady glanced at Knight Sorrow and continued to recover in the eternal divine tower. Su Lei began to advance towards becoming a middle heavenly supreme. She hoped to successfully break through and then consume the supreme heavenly origin pill. Like Dancing Lady, she would directly break through to become an upper heavenly supreme. Recently, she hadn't been able to help much and felt that her confidence had taken a hit. When I observed this chessboard from the void, it didn't look very big, but after entering it, it became as big as the world. Knight Sorrow, who had opened the sea serpent's eye and walked on the chessboard for 2 days without encountering a single cultivator or chess piece, looked forward. Hearing this, Dancing Lady comforted him. Logically speaking, the chessboard is square. If we keep walking, we should reach the end. Don't worry. I hope so. Knight Sorrow replied and continued to walk forward. After another 2 days, Knight Sorrow suddenly stopped because he saw 3 white chess pieces in front of him. After he saw the chess pieces clearly, these chess pieces began to change. They turned into the appearances of Wu Lingfei, Yi Xiaoluo, and Yi Lingtian. The 3 of them were the ones whose Dantian had been shattered by Knight Sorrow when he ascended to the divine world. Seeing their figures, Knight Sorrow felt a little sad for a moment. But soon, he recovered and looked at the 3 chess pieces who had turned into relatives and said, "It's useless for you to use this kind of method. Do it. Let's see the real deal." Haha, I can clearly see the heartache in your eyes. How dare you say it's useless? The chess piece who had turned into Wu Lingfei said sharply and attacked Knight Sorrow with an ice element attack. The ice phoenix she shot out looked a little similar to Wu Lingfei after her transformation. But if one looked closely, one would find that she didn't have the charm of a true phoenix at all. Freeze. Ice. Seal. Seeing the chess piece who had turned into Wu Lingfei and imitated her attack, Knight Sorrow didn't hesitate to use the 100 words mantra. Then, he stabbed her with the golden heavenly halberd. The light from the golden heavenly halberd immediately shattered the ice phoenix that the other party had turned into. At this time, the chess pieces who had turned into Yi Xiaoluo and Yi Lingtian also attacked Knight Sorrow one after another. Seeing these pawns imitating his family, Yi Shang was completely enraged. He roared, "If you dare imitate my family again, I'll destroy your broken chessboard." Then, he used the destruction of heaven and earth again and attacked the 3 chess pieces crazily. Soon, they were completely defeated. After the eternal divine tower absorbed the 3 chess pieces and turned them into energy, Su Lei absorbed them. Su Lei immediately broke through the bottleneck and entered the level of a middle heavenly supreme. Seeing the thunderclouds above the chessboard, Knight Sorrow released Su Lei from the eternal divine tower and said, "Go through the tribulation here, Pasua, and I will protect you." "Okay, thank you." Su Lei slowly rose into the void and prepared to welcome the arrival of the tribulation lightning. However, at this moment, Yi Shang suddenly noticed a familiar figure flying towards him at high speed. Chapter 3254. This figure was none other than Jielin, who had fought with Knight's Sorrow. Seeing Jielin's figure flying towards them, Knight's Sorrow shouted, "Jielin, what are you doing? I'm running for my life. Don't stop me." At this moment, Jielin was flying madly towards them as he shouted. It was obvious that he wanted to rush over. Knight's Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye and observed for a while. He realized that there were indeed two male cultivators chasing after Jielin. He said, "You can go over, but don't interfere with my friend's tribulation. I don't have time for that." Jielin said angrily and prepared to fly over Knight's Sorrow and the others. At this moment, one of the male cultivators chasing after Jielin shouted coldly, "Help us stop Jielin and we'll give you a huge reward. Otherwise, you'll be in for it." "A threat?" Hearing this, Knight's Sorrow said angrily, "Sorry, we don't have that ability." Then, he let Jielin fly over them. Although he had fought with Jielin before, he did not want to take advantage of others and was even more unwilling to submit to someone who threatened him. "Bastard, how dare you not help? Menghe, go after Jielin first. I'll kill these 3 ants and catch up later." After the 2 male cultivators flew closer, one of them said something and struck out a palm towards Su Lei, who was in the middle of transcending the tribulation. "Ha! Your murderous nature is still as strong as before. Hurry up, otherwise I might not be able to subdue Jielin alone." Menghe turned around and said. Then he looked at Knight's Sorrow and the others and smiled sympathetically. "It's your fortune to be able to enter Lu Tian Academy, but it's your misfortune to meet the killer Zhu Qingxian." Then he continued to chase after Jielin. "It's your misfortune to meet us." As Knight's Sorrow replied to Menghe, he took out the Eternal Divine Tower and used it to block Zhu Qingxuan's attack. Menghe and Zhu Qingxian were the same as Jielin. They were both from the middle school and were very difficult opponents. Facing them, Knight's Sorrow would naturally not be careless. Boom! When Menghe's palm hit the Eternal Divine Tower, a loud sound immediately rang out in the void. This loud sound caused Su Lei to vomit blood. Bastard! What a vicious mind! Knight's Sorrow, who had determined that Zhu Qingxian was deliberately making such sounds to disturb Su Lei's tribulation, was instantly enraged. At this moment, Zhu Qingxian had a gloomy smile on his face as he said, "I thought that other than the 3 of us, no one else has a half-step to the ultimate state divine artifact. Looks like I'm in luck today. Give it to me." After roaring, he reached out to grab the Eternal Divine Tower. "Come back." Knight's Sorrow, who was well aware that the Eternal Divine Tower wasn't charging up an attack, immediately withdrew it. He activated the 33 Heavens Battle Secret Technique and activated the Azure Phoenix Battle Armor. With the golden heavenly halberd in hand, he unleashed the Azure Profound Divine Spear Art at Zhu Qingxian. "How dare you show off your insignificant skills?" Seeing Knight's Sorrow fight back, Zhu Qingxian showed a disdainful smile. Facing the attack of the golden heavenly halberd, he sneered and struck out with his palm. He wanted to smash the golden heavenly halberd into pieces. What a powerful attack! Let's see how powerful you can be. The golden heavenly halberd was a top divine artifact at the level of a heavenly sovereign. However, after Zhu Qingxian struck out with his palm, Knight's Sorrow immediately felt the golden heavenly halberd tremble. He knew that if Zhu Qingxuan's palm hit the golden heavenly halberd, it would definitely be severely damaged. Actually, thinking about it, when Zhu Qingxuan's palm hit the Eternal Divine Tower, he wasn't injured at all. This was enough to prove his strength. Hence, when the 2 of them were about to collide, Knight's Sorrow suddenly kept the golden heavenly halberd and took out the ancient coffin. He then used the ancient coffin to smash Zhu Qingxuan's palm. Boom! This time, there was another explosion in the void. However, this time, Dancing Lady was already by Su Lei's side, so the aftershocks of the 2 of them didn't disturb her. "Thank you." Su Lei sent a message to Dancing Lady. After thanking her, he continued to go through the tribulation. At this moment, Zhu Qingxuan's powerful palm was shattered as it hit the ancient coffin. As for the ancient coffin's defensive layer, it was once again shattered. The ancient coffin was about to lose its defensive layer. How can this be? How can this be? Zhu Qingxian immediately let out a hoarse roar when his left hand, which he relied on for survival, was shattered. He said in disbelief, "What is this coffin? What is it? Could it be an ultimate divine weapon? It's something that you don't have the right to use." Knight Sorrow didn't reply curiously. He once again waved the golden heavenly halberd at Zhu Qingxian. Zhu Qingxian, who had lost his left hand, was like a toothless tiger. Facing Knight Sorrow's Qingxian godly spear technique, he didn't dare to fight. He took out the Rui Bell, a half-step ultimate divine weapon, and flew in the direction where Jielin had escaped. Knight Sorrow's attack hit the Rui Bell's defensive layer, but didn't break through. He knew that he didn't have the ability to keep Zhu Qingxian here, so he gave up chasing him. Zhu Qingxian, who had flown far away, gritted his teeth and said, "Lowly ant, we'll meet inside. When my palm recovers, I'll be the first to cut off your head." "This is the second time you've spoken nonsense today." Knight Sorrow, who had given up chasing Zhu Qingxian, replied coldly. Zhu Qingxian's strongest weapon was his left hand. The coffin on his body could easily be used to block it. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of him. However, when he thought of the strength of Zhu Qingxian, Meng He, and Jielin, he was still a little afraid. He thought that it wouldn't be a problem to deal with one of them, but if the three of them joined forces, it would be troublesome. "I've succeeded in passing the tribulation. Thank you, Guardians." While Knight Sorrow was thinking about how to deal with the three of them, Sule had succeeded in passing the tribulation and slowly floated down from the sky. Sule, who had advanced to a middle heavenly sovereign, had a much thicker aura on his body. Obviously, his strength had increased. Knight Sorrow immediately retracted his thoughts and said with a smile, "Congratulations, you're one step closer to Whirling Saw. Hee. Both of us have gained something. It's up to you now." Whirling Saw looked at Knight Sorrow and said, like Sule, she sincerely hoped that Knight Sorrow could advance to a heavenly sovereign. "I hope I can get more sovereign heaven origin pills. I have a strong desire to become a heavenly sovereign," Knight Sorrow said expectantly. After coming to the foggy area, he had been fighting against many heavenly sovereigns as an earthly sovereign. Now, when Zhu Qingxian, Meng He, Jielin, and the others appeared, he gradually started to struggle. He needed to use the eternal divine tower and the coffin to fight against these geniuses. He wanted to quickly break through to a heavenly sovereign and rely on his own strength to fight against them. At this time, Sule asked, "What should we do next?" Hearing this, Knight Sorrow thought for a while and said, "Jielin must have explored this place before us and knows something. The direction she went should be the safest. Let's follow them. Let's see if we can leave the chessboard in front of us." Chapter 3255. Yes, this seems dangerous, but it's relatively safe. It's a good choice. After Yishang finished speaking, Swaying Woman said in agreement. Then, she and Sule followed behind Knight Sorrow and headed in the direction where Zhu Qingxian, Meng He, Jielin, and the others were heading. After following the three of them for 2 hours, they did not encounter any chess pieces. They confirmed that Knight Sorrow's judgment was correct. However, as they went deeper, the illusion around them became worse and worse. The dark fog became thicker and thicker. In the end, they could not even see the chessboard if they did not use the eye of the sea serpent. Although there were no chess pieces, they walked very slowly. After walking for a while, Sule said, "Jielin wants to use the fog to get rid of Zhu Qingxian and Meng He. But we can't be sure if going forward is the way out of the chessboard. Should we continue to follow? If we go back the way we came, there should be a way out of the chessboard. Jielin has entered and left the chessboard. But if we leave from there, it's equivalent to leaving the ancient site." Yishang analyzed the situation and said, "After all, our goal is to find the supreme primary pill and other resources. There's no turning back now." "That's true. Then let's continue." Sule nodded and said. She still wanted the supreme heaven energy pill very much. At this time, Night Sorrow said to Dancing Lady. Dancing Lady, using eye techniques in this fog consumes a lot of energy. Let's take turns to lead the way. I think we should be able to find the way forward. Okay, you just fought. Recover first. I'll lead the way. After Dancing Lady finished speaking, she used her eye to look for the way. Night Sorrow and Su Lei followed side by side behind her. In the fog, they could be attacked at any time. The three of them were very alert and prepared to attack at any time. At this time, in such a thick fog, they could no longer keep up with the three people in front of them. They did not know where Zhu Qingxian, Meng He, Jie Lin, and the others had gone. They could only follow their own feelings and continue forward. In the fog, they walked for 3 days and 3 nights. Night Sorrow and Dancing Lady exchanged more than 10 times, but they still did not walk out of the chessboard. The 4th day, Whirling Woman was leading the way. Suddenly, she stopped and transmitted her voice. Watch out. I saw Jie Lin. She's right in front of us and seems to be fighting with something. Let me see. Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately activated the sea serpent's eye and looked ahead. Immediately, he saw Jie Lin fighting with a middle-aged male cultivator. Both sides fought back and forth. Jie Lin was in a passive position, but he didn't show any signs of being defeated. As for Zhu Qingxian and Meng He, they did not appear. What should we do? Should we sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, or should we attack directly? Dancing Woman, who was watching, asked Night Sorrow. There's no hurry. Let's wait and see. Yi Shan, who was watching the battle, said this before continuing to watch the battle between the two. At that moment, he could not tell if the middle-aged cultivator before him was a chess piece or a real cultivator. Under the attention of Night Sorrow and Dancing Woman, the middle-aged male cultivator began to gradually expand his advantage. However, in a passive situation, Jie Lin suddenly took out her half-step paramount realm divine artifact, the Heaven Suppressing Lock. Taking advantage of the middle-aged male cultivator's carelessness, he directly used the Heaven Suppressing Lock to severely injure him, instantly reversing the situation. In the end, he successfully killed him. After Jie Lin killed the male cultivator, Night Sorrow discovered that the male cultivator was indeed a chess piece, as he had guessed. He thought to himself, it seems that we still can't completely eliminate the danger at this point. You've been watching for so long. Why don't you show yourself? Just as Night Sorrow was pondering, Jie Lin suddenly looked in his direction. Do you want to fight? We'll accompany you. Jie Lin shouted, and Whirling Woman immediately responded. It's you guys. Jie Lin muttered softly and said, I want to cooperate with the three of you. What do you think? How do you want to cooperate? Dancing Woman asked after asking for Night Sorrow's opinion. You guys will be my eyes, and I'll be in charge of the battle. We'll split the things we obtain 50-50. Jie Lin thought for a moment and said slowly, You're just one person and you want 50%? Isn't that a bit too much? We're not willing to cooperate with you. Dancing Woman heard that Jie Lin wanted to split the loot 50-50 and immediately rejected him. I have a map of the entire ancient ruins. If you cooperate with me, you'll have a great advantage. If it weren't for your eye techniques, I wouldn't even be bothered to talk to you. Jie Lin said unhappily when he heard Swaying Woman's words. So you have a map of the ancient ruins. No wonder you can move around freely in this chessboard. Night Sorrow heard the map and said, If you want to cooperate, we can talk about it. How much do you want? Jie Lin asked directly. She knew that the map she had was extremely valuable. Night Sorrow and the others had no reason to refuse. You alone and the three of us. You take 40% and we each take 20%. This way it's fairer. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and replied. He had fought with Jie Lin before. He was already being polite by offering such a price. Hearing this number, Jie Lin pondered for a moment and said, It's not impossible to split it 40-60. But I have a condition. What condition? Dancing Woman frowned. My condition is that you have to help me kill Zhu Qingxian and Meng He. I have an irreconcilable feud with them. Jie Lin said coldly. If we meet them on the way, we will help you fight them. But whether we can kill them depends on the situation. Hearing this condition, Yi Shang agreed without hesitation. Zhu Qingxian, Meng He, and Jielin were all the same. Their characters were average, but they did not have a real map of the ancient ruins. They needed to temporarily turn hostility into friendship with Jielin. Seeing that Night Sorrow had agreed, Jielin said, "If that's the case, let's make a heavenly oath." She knew that Night Sorrow was not easy to deal with. It was basically impossible to get his eye technique. She could only settle for the next best thing. "All right, let's make a heavenly oath." Night Sorrow led Dancing Woman and Su Lei to Jielin's side and made a heavenly oath. Very good. After Night Sorrow and the others had made their oaths, Jielin said, "Remember the horizontal and horizontal markings on the ground. We need to walk 12 vertical and 7 horizontal markings to reach the exit of the chessboard. It's time to fight with the chess saint. As long as we kill the chess saint, we can get the chessboard under our feet and leave this place. This is the first great opportunity in the ancient ruins." The first great opportunity? How many great opportunities are there in the ancient ruins? Night Sorrow asked immediately after hearing Jielin's words. Chapter 3256. Although we are in a cooperative relationship, I can't tell you how many opportunities there are. I can only say that there is definitely more than one. Jielin glanced at Night Sorrow, but did not answer the question directly. "All right, let's explore slowly." Night Sorrow felt that Jielin's words were understandable, so he did not continue. At this moment, Jielin said, "The map in my hand came from Weisstein Ji Xian. The maps in Zhu Qingxian and Meng He's hands came from the other 2 Weissteins. When we find the chess saint and fight him, we must end the battle quickly. We must get rid of the chess saint before they arrive. According to what you said, the chess saint can find him just by following the map. Then why does he need our ice sorcery?" Night Sorrow asked as they moved towards the chess saint's location. "Of course you have your uses. The chess saint's speed is very fast. It is difficult for me to catch him in the fog." Jielin explained and said, "If I have the help of your ice sorcery to lock onto the chess saint, I will have a chance of winning. Although I know some ice sorcery, it is not my forte." At this moment, Night Sorrow glanced at Jielin and asked, "Do Zhu Qingxian and Meng He know ice sorcery?" "Their ice sorcery is stronger than mine. But compared to the 2 of you, it is not worth mentioning at all." Jielin did not hide the truth and answered directly. "All right, since we have more or less understood the situation, I will lead the way. Follow me closely." After Jielin finished speaking, Dancing Woman said something and sped up. With Dancing Lady leading the way, Su Lei said softly, "Can you explain the chess saint situation in detail? After all, if you know your enemy, you will win 100 battles. But we do not understand him at all." "Oh, I was just about to talk about this," Jielin replied and said, "The chess saint is actually the weapon spirit bred by this chessboard. He has the cultivation of half a step to the supreme realm. His body is made of chess pieces. In battle, he can split into 108 chess pieces. He is not easy to deal with. A single chess piece is already so strong. If he really turns into 108 chess pieces, how are we going to deal with him?" Su Lei frowned and asked as he recalled the scene of Night Sorrow fighting with the chess pieces. "Yes, if he turns into 108 chess pieces, with our strength, I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with him, right?" Night Sorrow had personally fought the chess pieces before, so he naturally knew the combat strength of the chess pieces and their ghostly abilities. "Don't worry, we are not afraid that he will split, but that he will not split," Jielin said confidently. "Yeah, if he splits into 108 chess pieces, you can use your bloodline absolute art." At this moment, Night Sorrow remembered that Jielin could summon beetles and scaled worms without limit and agreed. "That's right, I'm not afraid of consumption. I'm afraid that our attacks are not strong enough to break through the chess saint's defense." Jielin nodded. After that, she transmitted her voice to Night Sorrow. "During the battle, the 2 of them shouldn't be of much use. I hope you can do your best. Since I've agreed to work with you for the time being, I'll do my best. But I hope you won't hold back." Night Sorrow heard Jielin's transmission and immediately replied, "Of course." Jielin replied, and did not say anything else. She followed behind Dancing Lady with peace of mind. Under Dancing Lady's lead, the four of them arrived at the forbidden area of the Chess Saint in less than half a day. Standing at the entrance of the forbidden area, Jialin looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Do you and your friends know how to set up formations? To prevent Zhu Qingxian and Meng He's sneak attack, we'd better set up a defensive formation at the entrance." "I know a little," as Night Sorrow replied. He immediately took out the materials and set up the Five Bulls formation. He knew that Zhu Qingxian and Meng He were not simple people. An ordinary illusory formation would not have any effect on them. "Very good. This formation of yours doesn't seem to be simple," Jialin said, as he started to set up the array formation. Night Sorrow used the eye of the sea serpent to observe and found that the formation set up by Jialin was also extraordinary. It did not seem to be inferior to the Five Bulls formation at all. However, after looking at it once, he did not learn it because the formation was too complicated. "All right, I'll go first, you guys follow me." The name of the chess saint sounds like an otherworldly expert, but in fact, he is extremely violent. "You guys have to be careful," Jialin said, and took the lead to enter the forbidden area of the chess saint. After Night Sorrow entered with Dancing Lady and Su Lei, they immediately found that there was a thick fog in front of them. In such an environment, even Night Sorrow could not see clearly what was in the deepest part of the fog. "How is it? How far can you see with your eye techniques?" After standing still, Jialin looked at Night Sorrow and Dancing Lady and asked, "I can see everything within 100 feet. Beyond that, I can't see clearly at all." Dancing Lady did not hide anything and told them the distance that she could see clearly. Night Sorrow used the eye of the sea serpent to look and said, "About 10,000 feet. You can see 10,000 feet. Very good. When the battle starts, you will be in charge of commanding, and we will cooperate with you. When fighting against the chess saint, we are all like blind men, and Dancing Lady is no exception." When Jialin heard that Night Sorrow could see 10,000 feet, he immediately became excited. After saying that, he released a murderous aura and said, "There's only the chess saint here. We don't need to worry about anything else. Let's go." "Where's the chess saint roughly?" After Jialin finished speaking, he did not move forward. Night Sorrow asked, "He could appear anywhere in this space. As for where exactly he is, you need to find out," Jialin said telepathically. "All right, then you guys follow me closely. We will walk around the forbidden area and see if we can lure him out." After saying that, Night Sorrow took the lead and walked in front. However, he had been controlling his speed to avoid leaving the three of them too far behind. After the four of them walked for about 10 breaths in the forbidden area, Jialin suddenly said telepathically, "Everyone be careful. I can feel that we are being watched. The chess saint should be observing us. He should be making a move soon." "Yes, I can feel it too. Su Lei, you are not good at ice sorcery. Don't be too far away from me when we fight." Night Sorrow, who could also feel the chess saint's aura, knew that the battle was about to start and raised Su Lei's level. After all, among the four of them, Su Lei was the weakest. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Su Lei immediately replied, "I will be careful. They are coming." Just as Su Lei finished speaking, Night Sorrow saw hundreds of black and white chess pieces flying over from afar. He immediately reminded them, "The chess saint fights in a split state. Everyone, be careful." "Is that so? That's great." Hearing this, Jialin immediately transformed into his original form. He began to summon beetles and scale bugs. Chapter 3257. A bunch of ants dares to have designs on me? All of you die. Just as Jialin transformed into his original form, the chess saint's ferocious voice was heard. Following the voice were a total of 108 black and white chess pieces. These chess pieces exuded an aura similar to those that Night Sorrow had fought. After flying in front of the four of them, they all transformed into cultivators. There were about the same number of male cultivators and female cultivators, a total of 108 middle and upper heavenly sovereigns. "Everyone get ready to fight." The 108 chess pieces that had transformed into cultivators attacked them. Knight Sorrow reported their positions and asked everyone to pay attention. He began to use the secret art of the Treyastrimsa battle technique, striking the chess pieces continuously. He wanted to reduce their speed. Although Jielin was summoning beetles and scale bugs without limit, this summoning required time. He needed the three of them to hold them back. When Knight Sorrow used the true word technique, Su Lei transformed into Yu Jia and spat out scorching flames at the incoming aura. As for Dancing Lady, she summoned the 1,000 illusion eyes and used the 3,000 black holes to attack continuously. After Su Lei and the Swaying Woman had used their large area of effect attack techniques, Knight Sorrow stood alone at the front, blocking the first cultivator that rushed over. At the same time, he urged, Jielin, hurry up. We can't hold on for long. Don't worry, although I need time to summon beetles and scale bugs. But the Heaven-Suppressing Lock will help you fight. As he spoke, Jielin summoned the Heaven-Suppressing Lock, which was half a step to the Supreme Realm. He let it attack the Chess Saint, who had transformed into hundreds of cultivators. He actually has a half step to the Supreme Realm Divine artifact. Disperse. Seeing Jielin use the Heaven-Suppressing Lock, the Chess Saint immediately controlled his 108 doppelgangers to disperse and avoid the attack. However, the Heaven-Suppressing Lock's attack covered a large area. Although the Chess Saint controlled his doppelgangers to escape quickly, 5 or 6 of them were still hit by the Heaven-Suppressing Lock. When these doppelgangers were hit by the Heaven-Suppressing Lock, they immediately turned into nothingness and disappeared into the void. Damn it! You hurt my vital energy. You will all be tortured to death. The Chess Saint roared furiously after losing several of his clones right from the start. Then, the remaining 100 or so chess pieces became even more ferocious and attacked Knight Sorrow and the others. Not good. We can't withstand this kind of attack. You too, hide behind me. I also need to use a half-step Supreme class Divine artifact. Dozens of crazed heavenly sovereigns rushed over. Knight Sorrow immediately called Su Lei and Dancing Lady behind him. Then he took out the Eternal Divine Tower and threw it out. Although the Eternal Divine Tower that Knight Sorrow had summoned did not explode with an attack, it was still a half-step to the Supreme Class Divine Artifact after all. Its hardness was also very impressive. After being smashed, the cultivators at the front were instantly smashed into a puff of green smoke. What? You actually have a half-step Supreme Stage Divine Artifact as well. The Chess Saint exclaimed when he saw Knight Sorrow toss out a half-step to the Supreme Artifact. At this moment, the beetles and scaled insects that Jielin had summoned had already swarmed towards the remaining chess pieces. Looks like you guys came prepared. Seeing that Jielin had summoned countless beetles and scaled insects, the Chess Saint snorted and gathered all the scattered chess pieces together. He transformed into the appearance of a green-bearded Confucian scholar. You transformed into your original form, just like that? We haven't used much strength yet. Seeing that the Chess Saint had transformed into his original form and his aura had soared, Jielin immediately mocked him. Yunhe, suppress the deity. The Chess Saint, who was instantly enraged, immediately threw out a white chess piece and a black chess piece at Jielin. Jielin, be careful. Front left, white chess piece, 7,000 feet. Straight ahead, black chess piece, 7,500 feet. It's extremely fast. It's hard to see with the naked eye. Seeing that the Chess Saint was attacking Jielin, Knight Sorrow, who was observing with the eye of the sea serpent, immediately warned. Roger. Jielin, who had received the warning, immediately controlled the beetles and scaled insects in the sky to block in front of him. Although the white and black chess pieces that the Chess Saint had thrown out were extremely fast and powerful, after killing hundreds of beetles and scaled insects, their energy was depleted and they disappeared into the void. You're an expert who is half a step to the Supreme Realm. Is this all you've got? Jielin, who had blocked the white and black chess pieces, continued to mock him. There's no need to deliberately draw hatred. Let's fight together. Knowing that Jielin was deliberately drawing hatred so that the chess saint would continue to attack her, Knight Sorrow immediately sent a telepathic message. Other than the divine pagoda and ancient coffin in your hands, you have no way of blocking his attacks. You just have to be my eyes. After saying that, Jielin controlled thousands of beetles and scaled insects to pounce on the chess saint. In fact, her original form would not be able to withstand the chess saint's attacks either. However, she had a large number of beetles and scaled insects that she could use. She wanted to use them to slowly wear down the chess saint until he was almost exhausted before finally killing him. At this time, Knight Sorrow shook his head and said, "You've underestimated the chess saint before you. I can feel that his aura is extremely powerful. It's not something that you can easily deal with alone." "Oh, he's different from what I sensed?" Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Jielin asked doubtfully. The chess saint that she sensed with her spiritual energy was not very powerful. He's at least 10 times stronger than what you sensed, and his intelligence is not simple either. If I'm not wrong, he split himself into 108 chess pieces just now to test our strength. When he realized that we have 2 half-step to the Supreme Realm Divine artifacts, he did not show any fear at all. This proves that we definitely have the power to fight. Knight Sorrow said slowly. The aura of the chess saint that he sensed with his spiritual energy was different from that of the sea serpent's eye. Obviously, the chess saint had deliberately suppressed his own aura. "All right, then let's fight together. However, if it's really as you say, I suggest that you summon Su Lei and the swaying girl into the space abode. They can't withstand a casual attack from the chess saint. It's useless to leave them outside." When Jielin heard Knight Sorrow's words, he suddenly became alert and reminded him at the same time. "Su Lei, currently, you're the weakest. Enter my space abode." At this time, Knight Sorrow summoned Su Lei into the space abode and handed the Eternal Divine Tower to the swaying girl. He said, "Swaying, control the Eternal Divine Tower and stand side by side with us." "All right," the swaying girl said excitedly as she received the Eternal Divine Tower. She did not expect Knight Sorrow to be so generous as to lend her a half-step to the Supreme Realm Divine artifact. Distracted? Die. Yehe Tiansha. At this time, the chess saint saw that the swaying girl's mind was disturbed. He immediately threw 2 black chess pieces at her. These 2 black chess pieces were faster than any attack that Knight Sorrow had ever seen before. He did not even have time to warn the swaying girl. In a hurry, he took out the ancient coffin and blocked in front of her. Chapter 3258. Is this a coffin-shaped artifact? Is he carrying it around with him? The chess saint, who was about to launch a sneak attack on Lady, was stunned when he saw Knight Sorrow take out an ancient coffin to block his attack. He had never seen anyone use a coffin as an artifact before. Therefore, he could not understand what was going on, but he still mocked him. "Anyway, you don't deserve it." Knight Sorrow retorted with disdain at the chess saint's mockery. Boom! Without waiting for the chess saint to speak again, he threw out 2 black chess pieces and bombarded the ancient coffin that Knight Sorrow took out. After being bombarded by the 2 chess pieces, the outer defense layer of the ancient coffin faded a little more. However, the chess saint's attack was the same as the others. It did not completely penetrate the ancient coffin's defense. "This coffin is something. It will be mine from now on." Noticing that the ancient coffin's defense was not even broken and was able to block the attack of the II Divine Spirit, the chess saint sized it up with interest. He was prepared to take it for himself. "Although you're going to die today, we are not prepared to use such a good ancient coffin for you. It is better for you to be reduced to ashes." Seeing that the chess saint was interested in the ancient coffin, Jielin mocked him and attacked with the heaven-suppressing lock. At the same time, he ignited his bloodline talent and raised his status to the strongest. After completely activating his bloodline power, Jielin's aura was close to that of a half-step to the Supreme Realm in an instant. At this moment, he sent a telepathic message to Knight Sorrow and Lady, saying, I can't stay at this level for long. Both of you use a half-step to the Supreme Realm artifact to attack the Chess Saint at the same time. Cooperate with the heaven-suppressing lock and prevent him from paying attention to anything else. I will be responsible for killing him. You have the ability to kill him? Hearing this, Dancing Woman asked in confusion. You and him will be responsible for restraining him. Don't ask anything else, Jialin said and flew into the void. He only stopped when he was about to reach the clouds. At this moment, the Chess Saint had just dodged the attack of the heaven-suppressing lock. The Chess Saint did not dare to be careless against a half-step to the Supreme Realm artifact. Go! Seeing that the Chess Saint had dodged the attack of the heaven-suppressing lock, Knight Sorrow did not hesitate and attacked with the ancient coffin. All right. Seeing that Knight Sorrow did not doubt Jialin's words, Hasa Woman immediately communicated with the Eternal Divine Tower and asked it to cooperate with her to attack the Chess Saint. Without Knight Sorrow's permission, the Eternal Divine Tower did not unleash the attack it had just been preparing. Instead, it grew larger and crashed into the Chess Saint. You barbarians, do you want to defeat all of us? After being bombarded consecutively, the Chess Saint was a little overwhelmed. After making a quick decision, he chose to avoid the ancient coffin and attack the Eternal Divine Tower. When the chess pieces landed on the Eternal Divine Tower, they immediately sent it flying with a jolt. After temporarily repelling the Eternal Divine Tower, the Chess Saint looked coldly at the swaying woman. Then, in a flash, he attacked her. In the past, his attacks were basically all unleashed using the chess pieces. At this moment, his real body was moving. Faced with a half-step to the Supreme Realm Master, Dancing Woman suddenly felt her scalp go numb. He summoned the Tower of Eternity to defend himself. However, the Eternal Divine Tower had just been sent flying, so there was no way it could save him in time. Boom! At that moment, the Heaven Suppression Lock suddenly appeared and smashed onto the Chess Saint's floating body. Thank you. After the Heaven Suppression Lock smashed onto the Chess Saint's body, Knight Sorrow immediately sent a telepathic message to Jialin to express his gratitude. This was because when they were in the air, Jialin had passed the control of the Heaven Suppression Lock to Knight Sorrow. He was the one who had controlled the Heaven Suppression Lock to send the Chess Saint flying and save the swaying woman. You're welcome. After all, we are temporary allies. Both of you retreat quickly. At that moment, Jialin suddenly sent a telepathic message to Knight Sorrow. Retreat quickly? Are you preparing to attack? Knight Sorrow asked. According to his understanding, Jialin should need a long time to prepare. Hearing this, Jialin replied, Yes. I won't be able to maintain this state for long. I must attack now. Both of you hide quickly. All right, I got it, Knight Sorrow replied. Then he sent a telepathic message to the swaying woman. Swaying, enter my space abode. All right. When the swaying woman heard Knight Sorrow's telepathic message, she did not hesitate and immediately entered the space abode. Knight Sorrow took back the ancient coffin and the Eternal Divine Tower. He used the 9 steps of the Defiant Heaven to distance himself from the Chess Saint. At the same time, he informed Jialin of the Chess Saint's location. No need. I have already locked onto him. He can't escape. Jialin, who was in the void, replied. Then he suddenly turned into a flaming dragon and flew down from the void. His speed was even faster than the Chess Saint's. The Chess Saint, who had wanted to chase after Knight Sorrow, frowned when he saw Jialin. A thick black mist bloomed on the spot. Surrounded by this black mist, the Chess Saint's aura increased by almost 10 times. He then shouted, King's Descent, Chaos! In an instant, he turned into a huge chess piece and charged towards Jialin in the void. Good timing. Seeing that the Chess Saint was about to use his ultimate move, Jialin shouted and chose to meet force with force. Boom! When the two of them collided, the nearby void suddenly exploded. Knight Sorrow, who was using the 9 defiant steps to escape, was even blasted away. His body floated out uncontrollably. Isn't Jialin's attack too strong? The swaying woman, who was in the space abode, was shocked when she saw that the collision between Jielin and the chess saint had caused such a huge shockwave. Sule, who was beside her, was also shocked. This was because the strength of this attack had completely surpassed the level of an upper heavenly supreme. It was comparable to someone who was half a step to the supreme realm. The result of their collision is that both of them are injured. The two of you go out and take care of Jielin. I will kill the chess saint. After a while, Night Sorrow stood up and observed for a while. He immediately realized that Jielin was severely injured. The chess saint was also on the verge of death. He immediately released Su Lei and the swaying woman. Don't worry about me. The three of you deal with him together. Don't give him a chance to breathe. At this moment, the extremely weak Jielin opened his mouth and roared. All right, hang in there. After saying that, Su Lei transformed into Yu Jia and attacked the dying chess saint. The swaying woman did the same. She directly used the descent of all evil on the chess saint. As for the chess saint, after the collision with Jielin, he was severely injured. Facing the attacks of Su Lei and the swaying woman, he did not dodge at all and was continuously hit. Quick, kill him quickly. There are people outside. At this moment, Jielin shouted anxiously. At this moment, the dying chess saint, who did not even have the strength to fight back, started to grow stronger. The aura of his body started to increase bit by bit. There are two people coming. It is very likely that they are Meng He and Zhu Qingxian. We really have to hurry. After Night Sorrow said this, he unleashed Armageddon, the godly spear. Chapter 32:59. When Night Sorrow unleashed the divine shot, he sent a telepathic message to Xiaowu. Unleash the attack that you've been preparing. Be careful not to miss. This attack is the key. Don't worry. No one who has been targeted by the Eternal Divine Tower has been able to avoid the attack. Xiaowu replied and controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to attack the chess saint. When the Spear of God hit the chess saint's body, the attack that was launched after had arrived. Boom! The chess saint's body was severely injured. However, he was still not killed. Quick! I can't do anything. I can only rely on you. After we succeed, we have to escape quickly. Those two people are coming in. Meng He and Zhu Qingxian, who were outside, were very good at breaking formations. They used their secret treasures to break the formation set up by Jielin. She became even more anxious. After all, the few of them were no match for Meng He and Zhu Qingxian in this state. Even if they obtained the chess saint's chessboard, they had to leave quickly. The vitality of the chess saint is really terrifying. Night Sorrow replied to Jielin. He used the Treistrimsa battle mystic technique and the state of Armageddon and ignited the power of his bloodline. He used all his strength to unleash another attack on the chess saint. When the chess saint's aura was gradually recovering, he dealt another heavy blow. At the same time, the Eternal Divine Tower, under Xiaowu's control, continued to smash the chess saint. However, the chess saint did not die under such attacks. This made Jielin very anxious. She shouted at Night Sorrow, "Quick, use your ancient coffin. With your own strength, you won't be able to kill him." All right, that's the only way. Actually, even without Jielin's reminder, Night Sorrow had already thought of this. Without hesitation, he took out the ancient coffin and smashed it on the chess saint who was lying on the ground. After being smashed by the ancient coffin, the chess saint's recovered aura was suppressed again. After that, Night Sorrow used the ancient coffin to smash the chess saint twice. After the last hit, the chess saint was finally killed. After the chess saint was killed, the chessboard under their feet suddenly shook violently. Then, it soared into the sky and gradually turned into a green chessboard that was 1 foot long. This treasure is one of the best treasures in the half-step Paramount realm. It was possible for him to advance to the Lemmeter stage. We must fight for it. Little Five said immediately after looking at the green chessboard floating in the air. It was a divine artifact. He could feel that the green chessboard was extraordinary. Let's escape first and then discuss how to distribute the loot. At this time, Night Sorrow said and transmitted his voice to Jielin. Meng He and Zhu Qingxian will be able to break my formation very soon. If you trust me, enter my space grotto heaven and I will take you away. I believe that you are not a treacherous person. After Jielin spoke, he, Su Lei, and the swaying woman entered Yi Shang's space grotto heaven. Night Sorrow kept the green chessboard and asked, Jielin, which way should we go? Let's go into the ancient ruins. There should be a Dead Sea in front of us. After passing through the Dead Sea, we will enter the location of the second great opportunity. Jielin replied weakly. Is there any danger in the Dead Sea? Night Sorrow continued to ask as he used the 9 steps of the defiant heavenly sword. Hearing this, Jielin replied, the deathly silent sea. Although it sounds like it's completely silent inside, it's actually quite dangerous. In reality, there are countless ferocious beasts inside. However, these ferocious beasts are all dead creatures. I understand now. The Dead Sea is full of evil spirits, right? Night Sorrow heard Jielin's words and immediately understood what was going on inside. Yes, there are many half-step paramount realm evil spirits inside. Most of these evil spirits were slain by the 3 deans themselves before their corpses were thrown into the silent ocean. Jielin explained. Hearing her say this, Yishang asked doubtfully, didn't the ancient site in front of us just appear? Why do you know so much? For many people in the college, this is the first time the ancient ruins appeared. However, for the 3 vice deans, this is not the case. Jielin explained with a smile, and then said seriously, that's right. After the chess saint's forbidden land is broken, the fog will also disappear. We need to quickly escape into the Dead Sea. After entering the Dead Sea, it will be the same as being in the fog. We will need to use our techniques to see the way. That way, we will be safe for the time being. All right, I will try to be faster. After replying, Night Sorrow increased his speed once more. However, this time, after increasing his speed, he was immediately affected by the heaven and earth annihilation. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Night Sorrow, what happened to you? Seeing Night Sorrow spit out blood, Su Lei immediately asked through telepathy. I use the heaven and earth annihilation too frequently. I am suffering from the backlash. However, it is nothing serious. I can still hold on. Night Sorrow replied to Su Lei and ignored the pain caused by the backlash. He continued to fly quickly towards the Dead Sea. At this moment, Jielin said, in your current state, you are not much stronger than me. Let the heaven-suppressing lock carry us. Although it is not as fast as you, it can give you a chance to recover. Not for now. I will increase the distance between us. Night Sorrow replied and did not say anything else. He focused on using the 9 defiant steps. In the process of rushing, he used the speed formula on himself to increase his speed. After flying for 2 hours, Night Sorrow said, we have all entered the eternal divine tower. His speed should be faster than the heaven-suppressing lock. All right, hearing this, Jielin was silent for a moment and then agreed. Night Sorrow did not use the heaven-suppressing lock, which made her a little confused. However, after entering the eternal divine tower, she realized that the speed of the eternal divine tower was not something the heaven-suppressing lock could compare to. She relaxed her mind and recovered. At this moment, Meng He and Zhu Qingxian had completely broken the 5 bulls formation set up by Night Sorrow. After breaking the formation and entering the chess saint's forbidden land, they saw everything in front of them. Meng He immediately said angrily, damn it, that bitch took the initiative. She should have gone in. If we hurry, we might be able to catch up. Brother Meng, don't be so agitated. If she keeps going in, I will meet her sooner or later. As long as we kill her, the opportunity will still be ours. Zhu Qingxian said coldly when she saw that Meng. He was furious. The way he spoke was like a venomous snake staring at a person. What you said makes sense. However, I don't want her to be happy for too long. She must be rushing towards the Dead Sea now. Let's go after her. Meng, he said with a face of displeasure. He and Zhu Qingxian had teamed up, but Jielin had gotten ahead of them. He could not accept this, and his pride was hurt. Chapter 3260. Since you want to speed up, why don't you take out the Dragon Sky ship that Vice Dean Andrew gave you? You have to know that our speed is far inferior to Jielin's. If we don't rely on a Dragon Sky ship, it's impossible to catch up to her before entering the Dead Silent Sea. After Meng finished speaking, Zhu Qingxian suggested, "How do you know that Teacher Andrew gave me the Dragon Sky ship?" Hearing this, Meng immediately looked at Zhu Qingxian vigilantly. Zhu Qingxian smiled and said, "Hee, don't you know that Teacher Nangong, he bestowed the purple snow glaze cup to me?" "All right." Meng frowned and took out the Dragon Sky ship that Zhu Qingxian mentioned. After the two of them stepped on it, Meng reminded, "Currently, I can't control the Dragon Sky ship well enough. I can't fully utilize its speed, and its stability is also average. Be careful not to fall. It's just a divine artifact. Do you need to personally control it?" Zhu Qingxian asked doubtfully. While Meng activated the Dragon Sky ship, he explained, "The Dragon Sky ship doesn't have an artifact spirit. It requires a cultivator to separate a wisp of their divine soul to personally control it. The difficulty of controlling it is quite high." Then, he brought Zhu Qingxian into the air and flew in the direction of the Dead Silent Sea. At this moment, Night Sorrow and the others were flying in the Eternal Divine Tower. Compared to the Long Tianzhou, which was known for its speed, the Eternal Divine Tower definitely paled in comparison. After flying for about 2 hours, they were caught up by the Dragon Sky ship. Seeing the Eternal Divine Tower flying in front of him, Meng immediately asked in puzzlement, "A half-step Supreme Realm pagoda-shaped divine artifact. When did Jielin get it? Or is it that the person in the tower is not Jielin? Other than Jielin, no one else has such a deep map of the ancient ruins. Who else could it be?" Standing on the Dragon Sky ship and observing the Eternal Divine Tower, Zhu Qingxian said. At this moment, in the Eternal Divine Tower, seeing the two of them catch up, Jielin said in a deep voice, "Not good. They are riding on Vice Dean Andrew's Dragon Sky ship. Their speed is much faster than ours. If we don't reach the Dead Silent Sea, we definitely won't be able to shake them off. At our current speed, how long will it take to reach the Dead Silent Sea?" Swaying woman, who was also looking at Meng He and Zhu Qingxian, asked with a frown. "I just told the Night Demon that there's still about an hour left. If we fight now, we definitely won't be their match, and we can't beat them in terms of speed. The situation is rather grim." Jielin frowned as he looked at Meng He and Zhu Qingxian outside and asked, "However, if this Eternal Divine Tower is tough enough, we can hide inside and not go out. I'll definitely be able to withstand the attack of a Heavenly Supreme." However, Meng He and Zhu Qingxian have half a step into the Supreme Realm Divine Artifact, just like you. If they use a half-step Paramount Divine Artifact to attack, then the Eternal Divine Tower definitely won't be able to withstand it. Yi Shang added, "Based on the current situation, our best choice is to accept the challenge. At the very least, this choice is better than passively taking a beating. But you and I are both injured, and the two of them aren't strong enough. Wanting to contend against Meng He and Zhu Qingxian is just a pipe dream," Jielin said with a frown. She was very clear about the strength of the two people outside, and she was also very clear about the combat strength of the four of them. Comparing the two, she felt that the situation before her had fallen into a dead end. Sule looked at Jielin and said, "If we fight, we may lose, but we may also win. It's better than sitting here and waiting for death. I know, but we really don't have a chance of winning. I know the two people outside better than anyone else," Jielin said with some despair. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, "Now is not the time to despair. If the green chessboard is useful, or if we could take out 10 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills, we can turn the situation around. You want to use 10 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills to become a Heavenly Supreme? That's a good idea, but I only have 3 on me. It's not enough. As Jielin spoke, he took out the 3 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills and handed them to Night Sorrow. Try and see if you can use these 3 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills to become a heavenly supreme. I'll study the green chessboard. The biggest credit for us being able to obtain the green chessboard is yours. Take this green chessboard. As for the good stuff in the future, we'll get it first. You don't have any objections, right? Night Sorrow said as he handed over the green chessboard. We don't even know if there will be a future. What objections can I have? Jielin, who took the green chessboard, said with a frown. After saying that, he started studying the green chessboard, trying to figure out how to use it. At this moment, outside the Eternal Divine Tower, Meng He and Zhu Qingxian had been shouting for a while, but Jielin did not appear. They had already started attacking the Eternal Divine Tower. Under Little Five's control, the Eternal Divine Tower dodged their attacks. When the two of them realized that Heavenly Supreme level attacks could not cause any damage to the Eternal Divine Tower, they each took out half a step to Supreme level Divine artifacts and started bombarding the Eternal Divine Tower. Su Lei and Dancing Lady, who were in the Eternal Divine Tower, were anxious, but they could not help at all. With the help of tenfold speed, Jielin studied the green chessboard. At this moment, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Little Seven. I've taken 3 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills, but it shouldn't be enough to become a Heavenly Supreme. Can you guys completely absorb the horn and convert it into energy to help me become a Heavenly Supreme? We've been absorbing the horn's energy and have converted quite a bit, but it shouldn't be enough for you to become a Heavenly Supreme. Little Seven immediately replied. Let's try first. Night Sorrow said and swallowed the 3 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills. The effect of the Sovereign Heaven Origin pills came very quickly, and he quickly absorbed them completely. According to Night Sorrow's judgment, if he had 4 or 5 more Sovereign Heaven Origin pills, he could become a Heavenly Supreme. But they did not have any. Therefore, he could only absorb the energy provided by the Eternal Divine Tower. But to quickly absorb the energy provided by the Eternal Divine Tower, he still needed about 2 Sovereign Heaven Origin pills. At this moment, Jielin suddenly asked, Night Demon, how much more do you need to become a Heavenly Supreme? I seem to have thought of a way. She had not figured out how to use the green chessboard at all, so she started thinking of other methods. 2 to 3 should be enough, Night Sorrow said after making a judgment. Just as he finished speaking, the Eternal Divine Tower was attacked fiercely. This attack was launched by Zhu Qingxian using the Purple Snow Glaze Cup, a half-step divine artifact. It was extremely powerful. It almost destroyed the Eternal Divine Tower. Obviously, if the attack continued, the Eternal Divine Tower would not be able to withstand it. Under such circumstances, Jielin said, I have a way to solve the problem in front of us. This should be the only way for now. I can help you become a Heavenly Supreme, but you have to promise me one thing. Promise you what? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. Chapter 32:61. I need to consume my bloodline power to help you become a Heavenly Supreme. You will also obtain a portion of the GS scale bloodline power. I want you to swear to the heavens that you will not use the GS scale bloodline after leaving this ancient site. If you violate this oath, your soul will be destroyed. Jielin said with a solemn expression. Bloodline power was a taboo for anyone. If it wasn't a matter of life and death, she would never use her bloodline power to help Night Sorrow become a Heavenly Supreme. Hearing Jielin's words, Night Sorrow said in a deep voice, I swear that as long as you don't ask, I will not use the GS scale bloodline. If I violate this oath, may the heavens and earth destroy me. Good. Without further ado, I will use the GS scale bloodline to help you become a Heavenly Supreme. I hope that after you become a Heavenly Supreme, you can help us through this difficult time. Jielin said and looked at Night Sorrow. This concerns the secret of the GS scale family. I hope that the two of them can leave. Okay, we will leave. After Jielin finished speaking, Su Lei replied. Swaying Lady naturally agreed. After that, Knight's Sorrow and Jielin entered the space that Xiaowu had created. After entering, Jielin summoned some of the Jie scale bloodline in his body and condensed it into a drop of blood the size of a fingernail. He controlled the drop of blood and flew it in front of Knight's Sorrow. He said, "Cut your heart and drip this drop of Jie scale blood in." "Okay," Knight's Sorrow responded. Without hesitation, he took out a dagger and cut his heart. He cut a hole in his heart and dripped the Jie scale blood in. When Knight's Sorrow's heart began to absorb the Jie scale blood, he suddenly felt an unbearable pain attack him fiercely. Then an extremely pure energy exploded in his body. In an instant, Knight's Sorrow felt his entire body tremble, and he felt the pleasure of breaking through the barrier. Heavenly Supreme. I have finally become a Heavenly Supreme. Other than those existences who have transcended the world, I no longer need to cross realms to fight people. After becoming a Heavenly Supreme, Knight's Sorrow felt his body and found that he had become much stronger. This degree of improvement could not even be quantified. Basically, the current him could defeat 10 of his former self, and it wouldn't take much effort. And this was under the condition that he had yet to defeat the Lightning Tribulation Energy Avatar. Jielin, thank you. Next, I will go out and fight before the Lightning Tribulation arrives. If the Lightning Tribulation collides with them, it will be difficult to deal with them. Knight's Sorrow estimated that it would take around 3 days for the Lightning Tribulation energy body to officially descend. He was prepared to get through the crisis before thinking about anything else. Good. I'll recover soon. I won't let you fight alone for too long. Jielin promised and reminded, Menghe and Zhu Qingxuan's strength is not inferior to mine when I go all out. You must be careful. Thank you. I got it. Knight's Sorrow replied, then flew out of the Eternal Divine Tower while it was still swaying. Who are you? Jielin's subordinate? Seeing Knight's Sorrow fly out of the Eternal Divine Tower, Menghe immediately berated him coldly. I'm the owner of the Eternal Divine Tower. The two of you have continuously attacked my divine weapon. It's time to settle the score. Knight's Sorrow said coldly as he released his divine soul power to check on Meng, He, and Zhu Qingxian. The two of them had continuously attacked the Eternal Divine Tower with half-step supreme gray divine weapons. This had already crossed the line. How arrogant. You've just become a Heavenly Supreme and haven't even passed the Lightning Tribulation. You want to challenge the experts of the Central Court with your strength alone? Zhu Qingxian immediately mocked Knight's Sorrow when she heard him. Menghe was thoroughly enraged and said, Kid, I don't care who you are, and I don't care if you're Jielin's subordinate. How dare you provoke the two of us like this? Only death awaits you. What last words do you have? Hurry up and say it. Do the experts of the Central Court only know how to attack divine weapons that can't fight back and quarrel with words? After the two of them finished speaking, Knight's Sorrow, who had released his divine territory, said word by word. Meng He and Zhu Qingxian were both furious when they heard this. How arrogant. I'll let you have a taste of being killed in an instant. Zhu Qingxian roared and used the purple snow glaze cup that was floating on her shoulder to attack with a half-step supreme gray divine weapon. Your divine weapon's attack is only SOSO. While Knight's Sorrow was observing with the sea serpent's eye, he activated the 33 Heavens Battle Secret technique and used the defiant 9 steps to dodge the attack. Although the purple snow glaze cup's attack was ferocious, its speed was not as fast as Knight's Sorrow's. It missed its target and hit the mountain peak in the distance. What? Its speed is faster than a half-step supreme gray divine weapons attack. Zhu Qingxuan's expression changed when he saw Knight's Sorrow easily dodge the purple snow glaze cup's attack. This was because the purple snow glaze cup was one of his strongest attacks. The fact that Knight's Sorrow could easily dodge it proved that Knight's Sorrow had the ability to fight against him. A cultivator who had just become a Heavenly Supreme not only had a half-step supreme gray divine weapon, but also a half-step supreme gray divine weapon. This shocked him. He sent a voice transmission to Meng. This kid in front of us is much faster than us. Use your full strength and kill him. I can see it. This kid is not simple. His talent is above yours and mine. We must get rid of him immediately. Meng, he said as he stepped on the long Tianzhou. Standing on the long Tianzhou, he struck at Night Sorrow. This move relied on the speed of the long Tianzhou. Night Sorrow could not dodge it at all. Seeing that Night Sorrow could not dodge, Meng, he sneered, "Let's see where you can run to. Do I still need to run when facing you?" As Night Sorrow faced Meng He's attack, he abruptly used a dozen or so words to reduce his speed. He took out the golden heavenly halberd and blasted out the strengthened divine spear. Buzz! After Yishang's attack and Meng He's attack collided, Meng He's attack became even more terrifying. Meng He, who thought he was strong, was directly sent flying. He said in disbelief, "How is this possible? This is absolutely impossible. How can I be defeated by a lower heavenly supreme?" Don't say useless things there. This person in front of us is not easy to deal with. We can't be careless and use our strongest skill. Seeing that Meng He was a little absent-minded, Zhu Qingxian immediately reminded him. After reminding Meng He directly burned his bloodline power and attacked Night Sorrow with his strongest skill. Heavenly Lotus Bloom. This move was taught to Zhu Qingxian by the Vice Dean, Nan Gonghe. When it was used, 9 lotus flowers immediately bloomed in the void. When these 9 lotus flowers bloomed, 9 different colors immediately appeared. 9 different lights floated out one after another and attacked Night Sorrow. Not good. Night Demon, be careful. This is Zhu Qingxuan's strongest skill. This move looks very gentle on the surface, but if you're hit by it, all the energy in your body will be absorbed by the 9 lotus flowers. You must dodge it. Seeing Zhu Qingxian use the Heavenly River Scale, he quickly reminded. Chapter 3262. What? This kind of light actually has such an effect. Hearing Jielin's reminder, Night Sorrow immediately exclaimed. Although he was wary of Zhu Qingxuan's Heavenly Lotus Bloom, he did not expect this move to be so special. He immediately used the Divine Origin Trapping Array to seal the space around him and summoned the Dragon of Virtue that was disguised with the Ancient Coffin's aura. He let the Dragon of Virtue pounce towards the 9 rays of light in front of him. What is this? You overestimate yourself. Seeing the Dragon of Virtue, summoned by Night Sorrow, pounce towards the light from the 9 lotus flowers, Zhu Qingxian immediately shouted in contempt. Overestimate myself. Hearing this, Night Sorrow sneered and controlled the Dragon of Virtue to devour the light in front of him. Although the 9 rays of light in front of him were different in color, they were all evil aura in essence. Against this kind of aura, the power of virtue had a natural restraint. Seeing the Dragon of Virtue devour all the light from the 9 lotus flowers, Zhu Qingxian immediately said in shock, "This is impossible. What kind of move is this? I didn't expect your strongest skill to be broken by him. This guy is even more terrifying than we imagined. It seems that you and I need to work together to kill him quickly." Seeing Night Sorrow break Zhu Qingxuan's Heavenly Lotus Bloom, Meng He was surprised. At the same time, he also looked at this opponent in front of him as an existence on the same level. Although the two of them attacked just now, they deliberately avoided the attack and did not attack at the same time. At this moment, they were prepared to ignore this kind of face. All right, let's attack together and use our strongest attack to kill him. I will use the strongest attack of the Purple Snow Glazed Cup. You just need to cooperate with me. Zhu Qingxian, who had her Heavenly Lotus Bloom broken by Night Sorrow, also did not care about face. All right, I will also use the Dragon Heavenly Boat to use my strongest attack and strive to kill him in an instant. As Meng He spoke, he shrunk the Dragon Heavenly Boat under his feet and held it in his palm as he began to prepare an attack. Not good. Night Devil is in danger. I have to go out. Eternal Divine Tower, let me out. Jielin saw the conversation between Meng, he and Zhu Qingxian and immediately spoke. But you have not recovered yet, and you don't have much combat strength. Xiaowu immediately replied upon hearing Jielin's words. Night Devil has already given them enough deterrence. I don't have to make a move when I go out, but I can still act as a deterrent. Quick, let me out. Seeing that the two of them were preparing to attack, Jielin said anxiously. All right. Jielin's departure was obviously beneficial to Night Sorrow, so Little Five naturally wouldn't stop him. He immediately released Jielin. Jielin? So you guys are together. Seeing Jielin's sudden appearance, the two players who were originally preparing to attack Night Sorrow immediately stopped preparing their attacks. At the same time, they looked at her. Hee, I didn't think that the famous Meng He and Zhu Qingxian would join hands to deal with a new student who just entered the academy. Jielin had expended a lot of energy in his fight with the Chess Saint. He had also provided Night Sorrow with the G-scale bloodline. Even though he was trying his best to recover, he was still unable to do so. At this time, he was using medicinal pills to maintain his breathing. Only then did he have enough confidence to shout out. New student? You're saying that he's a new student? Hearing Jielin's words, Meng He was shocked. He had never thought that Night Sorrow, who could suppress them by half a head, was actually a new student. Do you feel fear now? If you give the Night Devil enough time, you will all become ants. Jielin looked at the two of them and said disdainfully. After Jielin finished speaking, Meng He frowned. At this time, Zhu Qingxian said, One Night Devil is enough to make us suffer. Now that Jielin has joined the team, it will be even harder for us to deal with him. Let's leave this place first. All right, let's go. After hearing Zhu Qingxuan's voice transmission, Meng He didn't hesitate. He pulled her onto the Long Tianzhou and left with Zhu Qingxian. After flying a certain distance, Meng He said unwillingly, Are we going to have to suffer in silence today? The two of us shouldn't be a match for the two of them. We can only endure today, but we can go back and call for reinforcements. As long as we call for Baron Thorn or Si Ming Heavenly Supreme, the two of them will definitely die. Zhu Qingxian said coldly. But the things in the ancient ruins won't attract their attention, right? After Zhu Qingxian finished speaking, Meng He shook his head and said. At this time, Zhu Qingxian continued. They're not interested in the things in the ancient ruins. But the people in the ancient ruins will definitely attract their attention. The Night Devil is so talented. Will they let him grow? That makes sense. If the two of them hear about the Night Devil, they will definitely come. Let's go. After Meng He finished speaking, he drove the Long Tianzhou and led Zhu Qingxian to the periphery of the ancient ruins. At the same time, Night Sorrow was temporarily relieved. Just now, he could feel that if Meng He and Zhu Qingxian had used the half-step supreme grade divine artifact at the same time, he could only leave his fate to the ancient coffin. That was a choice that was completely up to the heavens. At this time, Jielin, who had spoken confidently, suffered a backlash and his complexion became extremely bad. The crisis has been resolved for now. You should go into the Eternal Divine Tower to rest. There's a space there that can accelerate 10 times, so you can recover quickly. When Night Sorrow saw that Jielin's condition was very bad, he said this and summoned him into the Eternal Divine Tower. The Eternal Divine Tower, which had suffered continuous attacks, was in a state of self-recovery. Then, Night Sorrow began to fly into the void under the protection of Su Lei and Dancing Lady to receive the baptism of the lightning tribulation. In the midst of the lightning, he tempered his body. On the third day, Night Sorrow finally received a lightning tribulation energy body that was very similar to his. The lightning tribulation energy body this time was much stronger than what Night Sorrow had encountered in the past. The difficulty of facing it was close to that of the Divine Emperor Tribulation. At the crucial moment, Night Sorrow, who had used all his means, had to ask Jielin to use his bloodline to successfully defeat it. After defeating the lightning tribulation energy body, Night Sorrow had completely become a lower heavenly sovereign. Congratulations on successfully becoming a heavenly sovereign. After Night Sorrow had completely passed the lightning tribulation and received the baptism, Dancing Lady immediately congratulated him. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to speak, Sule also smiled and said, "Congratulations, you have finally caught up to our realm." Haha, it really wasn't easy. Night Sorrow felt the powerful energy fluctuations in his body. He looked at the Eternal Divine Tower and said, "Eternal Divine Tower, Jielin, thank you. If not for you, I wouldn't have become a heavenly sovereign so quickly. No need to thank me. By helping you, I'm also helping myself." Jielin replied and said, "Originally, the rest of the journey should have waited for me to recover. But Meng He and Zhu Qingxian will definitely not be satisfied. In a situation where they are no match for us, they will definitely ask for help. Let's hurry and advance to the next great opportunity." All right, then let's set off immediately. After saying this, Night Sorrow brought the Eternal Divine Tower and the three ladies and flew toward the Dead Silent Sea. Chapter 3263. On the way to the Dead Silent Ocean, Jielin said, "Actually, according to the map, there's an opportunity in the Dead Silent Ocean. It's a halberd called Desolation. However, it's the strongest existence in the Dead Silent Ocean. It should be very difficult for us to conquer it. Therefore, it's best for us to cross the Dead Silent Ocean directly. We'll go to the next place and find another great opportunity." Desolation halberd? That sounds very tempting to me. I can consider it in the future. Hearing that the opportunity in the Dead Silent Ocean was the Desolation halberd, Night Sorrow was a little tempted. However, he knew that since Jielin said so, it meant that the Desolation halberd was at least a half step to the apex. It shouldn't be easy to conquer. He temporarily gave up on the idea of obtaining it. I think that as long as you get some good things in the later great opportunities, you should be able to gain something when you come back to the Dead Silent Ocean. After all, your strength is infinitely close to the half step to the apex realm. As long as you strengthen your foundation, you should be able to fight against a half step to the apex realm. Seeing that Night Sorrow was interested in the Desolation halberd, Jielin analyzed. Although Night Sorrow was a lower heavenly supreme, he could already withstand the attacks of a half step to the apex realm. In the future, it wouldn't be a problem for him to fight against a half step to the apex realm expert. She, Night Sorrow, was very envious of his talent. I hope so. Also, I want to know how many other great opportunities there are in this ancient site. I also want to know what kind of experts Meng, he, and Zhu Qingxian can invite. Although they were about to enter the Dead Silent Ocean, Night Sorrow was still clueless about this ancient site. Jielin, Meng He, and Zhu Qingxian were very familiar with this place. This made him feel uncomfortable. Jielin pondered for a moment and felt that since they were partners, she shouldn't lose anything by telling him this. Therefore, she said, "This ancient site is actually called the Forbidden Ground. Including the Dead Silent Ocean, there are still 3 great opportunities. However, the only thing we can plot against is the Temple of Creation below. If we enter the Celestial Palace, we might not be able to return." After saying this, Jielin continued, "As for the experts that Meng He and Zhu Qingxian can invite, they were the strongest disciples under the 2 vice principals, Heavenly Exalted Baron Thorn and Heavenly Exalted Life. Although they're all upper heavenly sovereigns, they can already fight with ordinary half-step to Supreme Realm experts. They have such strength. If they join forces to deal with us, the situation won't be optimistic. Do you have any other trump cards?" Night Sorrow asked when he heard that Baron Thorn Heavenly Supremacy and Si Ming Heavenly Supremacy both had the strength to take on a half-step to the Supreme Realm. Compared to Meng He, Zhu Qingxian, and the other 3, the 4 of them basically had no ability to resist. This was an undeniable reality. "I don't have any backup plans, but I know that there's a teleportation array in the Temple of Creation that can transport you out of the ancient ruins. Let's look for opportunities inside first. If they come, we can use the teleportation array to leave. Jielin said slowly. In fact, under Vice Principal Ji Xian, there were naturally disciples he was proud of. However, that person had coveted Jielin's bloodline and had always wanted to dual cultivate with him. This caused Jielin to be extremely disgusted with him. Therefore, no matter how difficult the situation was, she didn't want to invite that person over. Since that's the case, let's quickly pass through the deathly silent sea and head for the Temple of Creation. Jielin roughly explained the situation of the god, Forbidden Grounds, but he didn't say what the opportunities inside were. However, Night Sorrow didn't continue asking. After saying this, he took the lead and entered the deathly silent sea. Jielin followed closely behind. As for Su Lei and the swaying woman, they were both in the Eternal Divine Tower and didn't go with the two of them. The moment they entered the deathly silent sea, Night Sorrow felt a strong, deathly aura rush toward him. He immediately released his god domain to resist this deathly aura. At this moment, Jielin said, "Because the entrance to the Temple of Creation is in the deathly silent sea, we must enter this place. It's fine. Just point out the path. I'll lead the way." Night Sorrow said this and began to move forward in the deathly silent sea. After he and Jielin traveled for about an hour, they saw a large group of evil spirit sharks in front of them. These evil spirit sharks had many rotten parts on their bodies, but their aura wasn't weak. However, their auras were not weak at all. More than 100 evil spirit sharks had the strength of a lower heavenly sovereign. Seeing that there were too many of them, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Jielin. "There are too many of them. If we fight recklessly, we'll waste a lot of time. Let's avoid them. They probably haven't discovered our existence yet." Okay, I haven't dealt with many of these evil spirit creatures, but according to the map, they should be quite fierce. We should avoid them, Jielin said at the same time. After that, she felt that pointing out the path bit by bit was a bit troublesome. She gave the map of the deathly silent sea to Night Sorrow to look at. If you want to go around the evil spirit sharks in front, it's best to choose the trench below them. After looking at it for a while, Night Sorrow made his own judgment. According to the map, there were no evil spirit creatures in the trench. This was the best choice to pass through. Hearing his analysis, Jielin immediately agreed. "Okay, let's go. Follow me." Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to look at the evil spirit sharks in the distance and continued to dive. They dived into the trench. They moved forward together with Jielin. "There's really nothing here. It's safe. And the evil spirit sharks above us don't seem to be able to sense us," Jielin, who was following Night Sorrow, said with satisfaction after moving in the trench for a while. She was very satisfied with Night Sorrow's choice. However, after moving in the trench for about 2 hours, Night Sorrow suddenly frowned. He said, "Not good. We seem to have encountered a big one." "What did you discover?" Upon hearing this, Jielin immediately asked in confusion. "If I'm not wrong, we've encountered the Desolation War Halberd that you mentioned," Night Sorrow said helplessly. "What? The Desolation War Halberd? If you're sure, we need to escape quickly," Jielin said immediately. "It's too late. We've been locked on. The range of its perception is about the same as the range of my vision. Right now, we've discovered each other," Night Sorrow said and continued. "And its speed is obviously faster than ours. It's not realistic to want to escape. Since we can't escape, we'll choose to fight with it. As long as it's not an ultimate divine artifact, we still have hope," Jielin said with a frown. Vice Principal Ji Xian and Jielin were the ones who told them not to covet the Desolation War Halberd. Originally, she didn't want to find trouble with the Desolation War Halberd. Chapter 3264. How dare you sneak into my territory? You are digging your own graves. Just as Jielin had made up his mind to fight, the Baron War Halberd had already drawn a ray of light in the dark trench and attacked them. It still looked like a war halberd, but it was thousands of times bigger than a normal war halberd. It looked like a huge battleship as it blasted over at high speed. In comparison, Night Sorrow and Jielin looked much smaller. Heaven's suppressing lock. Jielin knew that he could not defend against the Baron War halberd alone. He immediately summoned the Heaven suppressing lock and used it to attack. Divine Spear. Night Sorrow, who was also facing the Baron War halberd, used the 9 steps of Heaven defying and used the Divine Spear at the same time. Although the Baron War halberd's attack was powerful, its speed was not much faster than his. He could still use the 9 steps of Heaven defying to dodge it when he activated the Treyströmsa battle secret technique. At the same time, he used the Divine Spear to test the strength of the Baron War halberd. Then, the Divine Spear and the Heaven-suppressing lock hit the Baron War halberd at the same time. Night Sorrow's Divine Spear did not cause any damage to the Baron War halberd. However, the Heaven-suppressing lock hit the Baron War halberd and sent it flying. However, after the Baron War halberd was sent flying, it was not damaged. On the other hand, the Heaven-suppressing lock suffered a heavy backlash. Obviously, the Baron War halberd was stronger than the Heaven-suppressing lock. This Baron War halberd is very strong, Jielin said as he felt the backlash from the Heaven-suppressing lock. Night Sorrow said in a low voice, "I can feel its strength. However, if it only knows how to charge around recklessly, then there is nothing to be afraid of. I'm afraid it will only charge around recklessly and bring us a lot of trouble." Jielin suddenly said, "Oh right. The green chessboard might be able to help us." "Oh, have you figured out how to use it?" Night Sorrow asked curiously. "I can only use it for simple attacks." After Jielin finished speaking, he took out the green chessboard and used it to attack. Jielin had said that it could only be used for simple attacks, but when the green chessboard was activated, it immediately projected a chessboard world. The enormous chessboard unfurled and directly sucked in the Desolation War halberd, Night Sorrow, and Jielin. The aura of the Desolate War halberd was instantly suppressed by 20 to 30%. The dark green chessboard was actually obtained by you 2 ants. "It seems like the chess saint has been killed by you," the Desolate War halberd said coldly after being projected into the chessboard world. It was as if he was making a judgment. "You guys have helped me do something that I wanted to do, but was unable to do." Now, he could peacefully become an evil spirit and guard the deathly still ocean. Silent blood slash. Then, the Desolate War halberd released an incomparably dazzling red light. Be careful. This light is not simple. When the Desolate War halberd released its red glow, Jielin reminded. But this time, the Desolate War halberd's main target was not Night Sorrow, but Jielin. At the same time, she used the ability of the green chessboard to project herself to another position. This feeling was similar to Night Sorrow's when he had been in the Star Shift Great Array. However, Jielin could only use the green chessboard to transfer himself and could not care about anything else. After Jielin was transferred away, the Desolate War halberd immediately returned the target to Night Sorrow. After the red light circled around the chessboard world, it abruptly attacked Yi Shan's position. Little 5, use the Absorption Horns attack. Facing the attack of the Desolate War halberd, Night Sorrow immediately transmitted his voice to Little 5, asking him to use the attack. Hearing this, Little 5 immediately replied, "But this attack is only 50% charged. It's not powerful enough." "No worries. Just use it." Night Sorrow knew that the Eternal Divine Tower had not charged a complete attack and said without hesitation, "Okay." Although he did not know what Night Sorrow meant by this, he still followed Little 5's instructions. Little 5 still followed his instructions and blasted out the attack. Boom! Although the Eternal Divine Tower only charged 50% of its power, it still managed to block the red glow from the Desolate War halberd. This was because the red glow released by the Desolate War halberd was not a full-powered attack. Facing Night Sorrow and Jielin, it felt that it did not need to use its full power. He managed to block the attack. But if it continues to attack, what should we do? Seeing that Knight's Sorrow had blocked the attack of the desolate war halberd, Jielin immediately frowned. All of her means, including the heaven suppression lock, were unable to do anything to the desolate war halberd. She was at a loss. I will do my best to resist it. Find an opportunity to cooperate with me, Knight's Sorrow said confidently. He could feel that the desolate war halberd was not simple, but now that he had become a heavenly sovereign, with the help of various means, he might have a chance. How arrogant! You're just a lower heavenly sovereign, and you want to fight me? Die! Hearing Knight's Sorrow's words, the desolate war halberd was immediately enraged. Once again, it released an even fiercer red glow. This time, the red glow was almost solid, and it was obviously more powerful than the previous attack. Jielin, I will use the Jielin bloodline. As the red glow attacked, Knight's Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Jielin. Upon hearing this, Jielin said, "This is a matter of life and death. Let's not be calculative. If you can restrain it, I might be able to use the green chessboard to deal a fatal blow to it. That should be enough." With that, Knight's Sorrow unleashed Armageddon and activated his Phoenix bloodline and Jielin bloodline. He burned his bloodline power to the extreme. When he was at his peak, Knight's Sorrow immediately attacked the ferocious red glow with a combination of more than 20 words. He also cast the divine origin trapping array to reduce the speed of the red glow. In this state, he easily used the 9 heaven-defying steps to dodge the desolate war halberd's attack. You have some skills, but you can't change the fact that you're going to become an evil spirit. After being dodged, the desolate war halberd roared in the voice of Soul Beast and shrunk the spear. When it was about the same size as the golden heavenly halberd, it attacked Knight's Sorrow like an arrow leaving the bow. When it was close to Knight's Sorrow, the desolate war halberd suddenly split into 18 halberds. Together, they sealed off all the directions that Knight's Sorrow could dodge. Deliberately mystifying. Facing the desolate war halberd's blockade, Knight's Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's Eye, immediately saw that among the 18 halberds, only 3 of them were real. The blockade of these 3 halberds could not be compared to the all-round blockade of 18 halberds. He immediately used the 9 heaven-defying steps to dodge. Impossible. You are just an ant. How can you see through my attack? The desolate war halberd roared in disbelief as Knight's Sorrow dodged the attack again. Chapter 3265. Good job, Night Demon. As long as you can hold him back for another 30 breaths, I can use the green chessboard to unleash a powerful attack. Jielin sent a telepathic message to Knight's Sorrow while the desolate war halberd was in disbelief. She did not expect that Knight's Sorrow would be able to dodge the attack after the desolate war halberd had used all his strength. Knight's Sorrow said, "Lend me your heaven-suppressing lock. My golden heavenly halberd and eternal divine tower should not be able to hurt it." All right, accept the lock. Although she knew that lending the heaven-suppressing lock to Knight's Sorrow might damage it, she did not want to risk it. At this moment of life and death, Jielin did not have time to think about it. She immediately sent the heaven-suppressing lock to Knight's Sorrow. "Oof. How dare you pass me a divine artifact so brazenly in front of me?" At this moment, the desolate war halberd suddenly attacked the heaven-suppressing lock. Obviously, he did not want Knight's Sorrow to successfully receive it. A divine artifact is a divine artifact. Its thinking is limited. When the desolate war halberd attacked the heaven-suppressing lock, it wanted to shatter it. Knight's Sorrow suddenly took out the ancient coffin from the infinite space. He used the 9 steps of heaven defying and controlled the ancient coffin to smash the desolate war halberd. The desolate war halberd, who was attacking the heaven-suppressing lock, did not expect Knight's Sorrow to be able to take out something even stronger than the heaven-suppressing lock. In a moment of carelessness, it was hit by the ancient coffin. Wong. After the ancient coffin hit the desolate war halberd, it immediately made a loud noise. After being hit by the ancient coffin, the desolate war halberd almost broke. The outer defensive layer of the ancient coffin had almost disappeared, leaving only a thin layer. It looked like it would break soon. After that, Knight Sorrow thought to himself, looks like the ancient coffin can only be used as a last resort. Otherwise, it might bring about a huge change. Night Demon, take the heaven-suppressing lock and continue to attack it. I'll be done soon. Jielin, who saw Knight Sorrow injuring the desolate war halberd, reminded him. All right. Knight Sorrow nodded and took the heaven-suppressing lock. Using it as a melee weapon, he smashed the Desolation war halberd. Bastard! What's going on with that coffin? At this moment, the Desolation war halberd was being smashed by the heaven-suppressing lock, but it didn't take much effort to block it. Its injuries were mainly caused by the ancient coffin. It was also the corrosive aura of the ancient coffin that made it very uncomfortable and unable to organize a counterattack. Under Knight Sorrow's Armageddon state, complacency had been suppressing him. I'm fine. Night Demon, retreat. Another 20 breaths passed. Jielin suddenly transmitted her voice to Knight Sorrow. Then, she used the green chessboard to condense a sun-like fireball in the void. He struck a terrifying blow against the Desolation war halberd. This is the ultimate secret skill of the green chessboard. When the sun-like fireball approached, the Desolation war halberd immediately saw that it was a chess piece formed by the green chessboard. In the face of this attack, it immediately unleashed the strongest secret technique of the halberd. Desolate Whirl. In an instant, the two attacks collided. After the loud collision, Knight Sorrow and Jielin both realized that the Desolation war halberd's aura had weakened by a lot. Knight Sorrow, who had used Armageddon and activated Jielin's bloodline and Phoenix's bloodline, should have been able to contend with it. Now he had the upper hand in the battle against the Desolation war halberd. After being completely suppressed by Knight Sorrow, the Desolation war halberd suddenly said, "Don't destroy me. I choose to submit." Submit? The Desolation war halberd's reaction surprised Knight Sorrow. Don't believe it. Destroy it, and we will go to the Temple of Creation immediately. Jielin said in disbelief when he heard that the Desolation war halberd wanted to submit. At this time, the Desolation war halberd continued. Your divine weapon is also a war halberd. Subdue me. When I recover, I will definitely increase your strength by a lot. If you really choose to submit, then swear an oath of eternal loyalty. Otherwise, I will destroy you on the spot. Knight Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe the Desolation war halberd in case it suddenly attacked. However, the Desolation war halberd did not hesitate at all and immediately swore an oath of loyalty to Knight Sorrow. Night Demon, don't believe him. A half-step paramount divine weapon might have the ability to cheat on an oath of the heavens. Jielin reminded him again when she saw the Desolation war halberd swear an oath. This wasn't because she was jealous of Yi Shang's possession of a half-step paramount realm divine artifact, but because she had heard of half-step paramount realm divine artifacts and paramount realm divine artifacts from Vice Dean Jixian. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow smiled and said, "It's okay. There should be no divine weapon in this world that I can't subdue." After saying that, he summoned the disguised power of merit and cleansed the Desolation war halberd completely. The Desolation war halberd, who had been disloyal, immediately said respectfully after being purified, "Thank you, Master. I swear to serve Master until death." Good. Very good. In the future, you will follow me into battle. Knight Sorrow held the Desolation war halberd in his hand and compared it with the golden heavenly halberd. In the end, the two did not merge into one, because if they merged together, the golden heavenly halberd might be upgraded to half-step paramount grade. However, the upgraded grade should not be as good as the Desolation war halberd after it recovered. Moreover, the golden heavenly halberd was not far from half-step paramount grade. He could find other half-step paramount grade materials to upgrade it. When Jielin saw Knight Sorrow easily purify the desolation war halberd, she exclaimed in admiration. He immediately exclaimed in admiration. This method of yours is simply miraculous. Let's go to the Temple of Creation. At this moment, Knight Sorrow shook his head and said, No hurry. There are still good things under this trench. After saying that, he led Jielin towards the trench. Not long after, he found the Desolation War Halberd's nest in the cave where it was furnished. Knight Sorrow found more than 10 sovereign heavenly yuan pills and a large amount of other resources. After distributing the sovereign heavenly yuan pills, Knight Sorrow looked at Su Lei and said, You should also try to become an upper heavenly supreme. Later, we can consolidate our cultivation together. Okay, thank you. Su Lei thanked him and entered the Eternal Divine Tower to consume the sovereign heavenly yuan pills. As for Yishang, he let the Eternal Divine Tower absorb the 4 sovereign heavenly origin pills he had been given to recover. After doing all this, he looked at Jielin and said, With desolation leading the way, we can move around freely in the dead silent sea. Let's start looking for the entrance to the Temple of Creation. Okay, your eye technique is powerful. You should lead the way. I just used the green chessboard and consumed a lot of energy. I also want to enter the Eternal Divine Tower to recover. Jielin said and entered the Eternal Divine Tower. After consuming a few pills, Knight Sorrow recovered a little and started looking for the entrance to the Temple of Creation. With Desolation's help, he quickly found the location of the entrance to the Temple of Creation. However, there was an extremely powerful formation set up around the entrance of the Temple of Creation. Chapter 3266. Night Demon. Although I've dabbled in array formations, I have no clue about the array formation in front of us. Can you crack it? Jielin stood in front of the array formation and observed for a while before asking. The array formation that sealed the entrance of the Temple of Creation looked peaceful, and the surroundings were as warm as a spring breeze. However, everyone present could see that this was only on the surface. If they chose to force their way in, they would definitely be attacked fiercely. Even the desolate war halberd should not have the ability to force his way in. After Jielin asked, Knight Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe for a while and said, I don't think I can do it. I need my friend to try. Then, he summoned the restriction breaking hammer and let them see if they could find a way to break the array formation. The restriction breaking hammer was summoned and observed for a while. The hammer said, This array formation seems to be the 10,000 spirits blood demon array. If it is, it will require a large amount of blood to break it. It should be very difficult for us to find blood here. Knight Sorrow looked at the array formation and said slowly, I'm afraid that Baron Thorn Heavenly Supremacy, Si Ming Heavenly Supremacy, and the others have already appeared on our way back. Therefore, the teleportation array in the Temple of Creation is the only way for us to leave safely. This array formation must be broken no matter what. At this moment, Jielin frowned and said in a low voice, Why don't we use our blood to break the array formation? I'm afraid it's not possible to use your blood to break the array formation. The quantity is simply not enough. This array formation requires a shocking amount of blood. Even if the 4 of you use up all your blood, you won't be able to break it. The male hammer of the restriction breaking hammer immediately denied. At this moment, the desolate war halberd said, It's not easy to get other things, but if you need blood, you can have as much as you want. I'll break this array formation. Oh, you have a way? Hearing this, Jielin immediately locked his gaze on the desolate war halberd, who had transformed into a human. Of course, no matter what, I'm the ruler of the dead silent sea. Although I'm only ruling over some evil spirits, they still have blood in them. The desolate war halberd said, then looked at Knight Sorrow and said, Master, please allow me to make a move. Try it. Knight Sorrow looked at the desolate war halberd and said. Then, the desolation war halberd started to summon all kinds of evil spirits under the gazes of Knight Sorrow, Jielin, and Dancing Woman. Let them offer their blood to the formation. The deathly silent sea was almost boundless. The types and numbers of evil spirits were extremely large. Under the unceasing sacrifice of these evil spirits, Yi Zichen's eyes lit up. The runes of the formation started to be filled with the color of blood bit by bit, and gradually emitted a blood-red glow. After they dyed the formation lines red with their blood, the entrance to the Temple of Creation opened with a loud rumble. Done. This is indeed the 10,000 Spirits Blood Fiend formation. Seeing the Temple of Fortune's entrance open, Xiong Chue exclaimed excitedly. In fact, he and Female Hammer were just guessing. They didn't expect that they would be right. Night Demon, you have gathered all kinds of geniuses around you. This proves that you are a person with great luck. Let's go. After searching for some resources in the Temple of Creation, we will head to the location of the transportation array and leave this ancient site. Jillin's face lit up when he saw the entrance to the Temple of Creation open. Good. Let's go in. Are you sure what the great fortuitous opportunity in the Temple of Creation is? Night Sorrow asked as they walked into the Temple of Creation. Teacher Ji Xian once said that the Temple of Creation is very mysterious. On the surface, the great fortuitous opportunity is a divine artifact. But in reality, the greatest fortuitous opportunity is a creation. As for what it is exactly, I can't say for sure. Jialin didn't hide anything and directly said it. Creation. Let's look for it properly. Also, this Temple of Creation seems a little strange. Let's pay attention. After entering the Temple of Creation, Night Sorrow felt that the surroundings were filled with the smell of blood. Although it didn't make him feel uncomfortable, he felt that something was wrong. Yes, everyone must be careful. Teacher didn't explain the dangers here in detail. We can only take one step at a time. Jilin also instructed. At this time, Night Sorrow and Dancing Woman both activated their eye techniques. One was in charge of observing the path ahead, and the other was in charge of guarding the back. They were very alert. In this state, they walked for about 2 hours, but no creatures noticed them. However, the smell of blood became thicker and thicker, making one feel very uncomfortable when smelling it. Why does the smell of blood give me a familiar feeling? At this time, the desolate war halberd, who hadn't spoken for a long time, frowned and said. After he said that, Night Sorrow agreed. I also feel that this smell of blood is very familiar. In the smell of blood, there's a trace of a faint stench. This should be the smell of the blood of those evil spirits just now. Dancing Woman thought for a moment and deduced. Yes, it seems to be the blood of those evil spirits. Didn't we use that blood to break the array? How did it get here? When Jialin heard Dancing Woman's words, he also reacted. Currently, I can't guess what's going on. But no matter what, we have to be careful. After Night Sorrow said that, he led the group and continued to move forward in the quiet Temple of Creation. At this moment, Sule suddenly said, Everyone, I'm sorry. I've broken through, and the heavenly tribulation will follow. It's a little dangerous to undergo the tribulation here. Let's not talk about whether Huang Ji and Si Ming will come. The Temple of Creation was probably not as calm as it seemed on the surface. Why don't we go directly to the teleportation array and leave this place? Let Su Lei safely pass the tribulation. Hearing Su Lei's words, Jialin immediately said, All right. Night Sorrow was a little surprised that Jialin could give up looking for fortune in the Temple of Creation. However, he also agreed and continued. Then let's leave immediately. I feel that this Temple of Creation is not simple. Yes, I feel a little nervous. Jialin said without hiding anything. This was also one of the important reasons why she decided to leave immediately. Follow me, Night Sorrow said, and led the group forward according to the instructions on the map. However, when they arrived at the teleportation array, they were shocked. There were hundreds of dried corpses around the teleportation array. These dried corpses were originally standing on the spot, but as the smell of blood spread, the blood of the evil spirits that they used to break the array began to enter the bodies of these dried corpses little by little. The dried corpses of the upper heavenly sovereigns in front of them began to wake up one by one. Let's kill our way out. More and more dried corpses woke up. Before long, 4 or 5 of them woke up. Night Sorrow made a prompt decision. Chapter 3267. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. These dried corpses looked like human-shaped cultivators that had been dried by the wind. Even if they were awakened by blood, their appearance did not change. They gave off a feeling that they were more ferocious than evil spirits. At this moment, the lightning tribulation that Su Lei had attracted appeared uncontrollably. After the lightning tribulation appeared, the mummy that had just woken up immediately retreated a little. Night Sorrow, who had been preparing to attack, noticed this. He looked at Su Lei and said, "Su Lei, let's charge through the lightning tribulation." Okay. I also noticed that these corpses seemed to be afraid of the lightning tribulation. Su Lei replied and walked in front, leading Night Sorrow and the rest towards the teleportation formation. Seeing the lightning tribulation approaching, the awakened corpses retreated bit by bit. Seeing this, Jielin suggested, since Su Lei's lightning tribulation body will not descend immediately, why don't we stay and explore? After all, although the corpses here are powerful, they are afraid of the lightning tribulation and do not dare to get close to us. Just now, they have been following the instructions on the map and escaping towards the teleportation formation. They had not searched the Temple of Creation. Hearing this, Su Lei looked at everyone and said, "My lightning tribulation body will be completely formed in a day. If we stay, it's best to leave within a day. Let's see what the night demon wants." Jielin and Su Lei obviously wanted to stay. At this moment, Swaying Woman spoke. Then, the 3 women locked their gazes on his face. Yishang immediately understood what they meant when they looked at him like this. The 3 women all wanted to stay and search for opportunities. He thought for a while and said, "It's not impossible to stay. But now, our condition is worse than the last. If we encounter Baron Thorn and Si Ming, we will not be able to fight. We will go back to the entrance and set up the formation. If they break the formation, we will leave immediately. No matter how good the opportunity is, we will have to give up. Can you do that?" The 4 people in front of him, including the Baron War Halberd, Eternal Divine Tower, and Heaven Suppressing Lock, were not in a good condition. If they fought, they would definitely not be able to. "You're right. Let's not waste time. Let's set up the formation immediately." After getting Night Sorrow's affirmation, Jielin looked at the corpses that were keeping their distance. "Let's go. I'll lead the way," Night Sorrow said and walked in front again. He rushed to the entrance and set up the 5 Bulls formation. Jielin and Whirling Woman also set up the array formation. Then, they followed the instructions on the map and entered the central hall of the Temple of Creation. Although this central hall was called a hall, it was actually extremely vast. Even Night Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's eye, couldn't see the end at a glance. At this moment, 9 dragons and 9 phoenixes were soaring in the sky above the hall. On the ground, there were mountains and lakes. In the middle of the lake, there was a very small temple. At this moment, the sound of chanting could be heard coming from the temple. Whirling Woman observed with her eye technique and said, "These 9 dragons and phoenixes are all puppets. They don't seem to have any intention of attacking us. If there was a fortune here, it should be in that small temple, right? Shall we go and take a look? There really isn't much in the hall before us. Let's go take a look." Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's eye to observe and found that there were no birds or beasts on the mountain or fish in the lake. Thus, he agreed. As for the small temple in front of him, he couldn't see through it at all with the Sea Serpent's eye. While leading the way, he said, "You'd better keep a certain distance from me. This small temple gives people a very strange feeling." "Okay, be careful." The 3 women followed behind Night Sorrow side by side. Jielin said, while observing. Whirling Woman and Su Lei followed silently behind Night Sorrow. "I'll go in and take a look. Wait for me here. Night Sorrow walked to the small temple. Around the small temple, a circle of courtyard walls rose from the ground. He walked up to the door and knocked. As soon as he knocked on the door, the chanting stopped immediately. However, no one responded to Night Sorrow. He looked back at the three women and pushed the door in front of him open. The vermilion wooden door was pushed open, and a creaking sound could be heard. After the door opened, Night Sorrow found that the small temple in front of him didn't have a door, but he couldn't see anything inside. He thought for a moment and walked directly to the small temple without hesitation. Just as Night Sorrow was about to enter the small temple, a voice suddenly said from behind, "Benefactor, are you sure you want to go in? Who is it?" Night Sorrow heard the voice and immediately looked back. He found that the person who spoke was an old wolf in a Taoist robe. This old wolf was standing in human form. It even used its two front paws to bow to Night Sorrow. "Are you the owner of this small temple?" Night Sorrow asked after observing the old wolf in front of him with the sea serpent's eye. "No, I'm just in charge of guarding this courtyard." The old wolf replied politely and then said, "At the same time, I'm also staying here to remind you." "Remind me of what?" Night Sorrow asked in confusion. "To remind you that you can enter this small temple, but you may not be able to leave. Since ancient times, no one has walked out of this small temple for countless years." The old wolf clasped its paws together, looking as if it was speaking earnestly. Night Sorrow looked at the old wolf and said, "What's so special about this small temple? I've never entered before, and I don't know what's inside. If there's anything special, it's that no one who enters has ever come out," the old wolf said and added, "At the very least, I've never seen anyone come out." "All right, then I'll be the first to come out," Night Sorrow said again. Without waiting for the old wolf to continue, he walked into the small temple without hesitation. Looking at the place where Night Sorrow disappeared, the old wolf muttered, "Stubborn." After Night Sorrow walked into the small temple, he discovered that it was a small world. This small world wasn't big. It was about the size of 100 square kilometers. In the middle of the small world was a platform that was 100,000 feet tall. On the platform was a pitch-black ancient coffin. "Why does this ancient coffin look similar to the one in my hands?" Night Sorrow was shocked when he saw the appearance of the ancient coffin. The ancient coffin on the platform looked exactly the same as the one in his hands. Just as Night Sorrow was surprised, a voice sounded from the ancient coffin. "You're here?" "I'm here. What do you mean?" Night Sorrow looked at the ancient coffin with a frown. "Night Sorrow, this is your coffin. You'll be buried in it in the future. Since you're here, take it with you. I'll return it to you." As soon as the words left his mouth, a cultivator lifted the lid of the coffin and walked out. "Who are you?" Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to check the coffin and realized that the cultivator was neither a corpse nor an evil spirit. Instead, it was a living cultivator who asked immediately, Chapter 3268. It doesn't matter who I am. You just have to remember to get someone to bury you in this coffin after you die. However, this coffin isn't that easy to obtain. You have to pass the test. The male cultivator who climbed out of the coffin glanced at Night Sorrow and said with a smile. Then he strolled into the void. "Don't go. Tell me what's going on." Night Sorrow shouted in displeasure as he looked at the man who was ascending. The other party said that the coffin in front of him belonged to him and that he would die. Anyone in his position would feel uncomfortable. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. With that, the male cultivator disappeared into the void. Night Sorrow, who was sizing up the ancient coffin again, harumphed coldly, deliberately mystifying. This should be something that everyone who enters this place will experience. Die. Right then, a female cultivator with a sword stuck in her head crawled out of the ancient coffin. The female cultivator had an extremely menacing expression and two fangs. After climbing out of the ancient coffin, she flew down the platform and pounced towards Night Sorrow. When she was 1,000 feet away from Night Sorrow, she pulled out the sword from her head and stabbed out. It's a half-step supreme, realm divine weapon. After observing with the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow discovered that the sword in the other party's hand was a half-step Supreme Realm divine weapon. He was surprised. However, he naturally would not sit still and wait for death. He summoned the Desolate War Halberd and held it in his hand to resist. Boom, boom, boom. The menacing female cultivator's attack seemed slow. However, Night Sorrow began to block it. In an instant, she stabbed dozens of times. Night Sorrow had to channel the Treistrimsa Heaven's secret technique to block all the attacks. After a series of dozens of explosions, the menacing female cultivator took some blood from the wound on her head and smeared it on her sword. After absorbing the blood, the sword turned blood red. Watch out, she's offering a sacrifice. The Desolate War Halberd warned immediately when it saw the situation. It's fine. After all, we have more tricks up our sleeve. After saying Night Sorrow, he suddenly began to prepare the word formula. When the female cultivator attacked again, he immediately struck out a total of 33 characters. However, after these words flew out, the female cultivator madly swung the sword in her hand, cutting all of them apart. Seeing the 33 words in front of him, all of them would be shattered. Yishan's brows instantly knit together, and he said, "Looks like she's even stronger than I imagined. Eternal Divine Tower, come out. Cooperate with me. I'm going to suck this she-devil and her sword into the Eternal Divine Tower." Little Five said after the Eternal Divine Tower was summoned. Right now, the Eternal Divine Tower was basically under his control. Hearing this, Night Sorrow was puzzled. How should we cooperate with you? It's simple. Let's beat him until he can't fight back. After Little Five finished speaking, he suddenly charged towards the female cultivator in front of him. Seeing the Eternal Divine Tower approach, a hint of hatred immediately flashed through the female cultivator's murky eyes. She waved the sword in her hand and slashed towards the Eternal Divine Tower. She's attacking me with her sword. Here's your chance, Night Sorrow. Attack her. When Little Five saw the female cultivator attacking the Eternal Divine Tower, he immediately activated the defensive layer of the Eternal Divine Tower to block. All right, Night Sorrow replied and sent a voice transmission to the Desolate War Halberd. Cooperate with me fully. Then, he fired a divine spear at the female cultivator. With the enhancement of this move, the Desolate War Halberd, which was originally a half-step to the Extreme Realm, immediately struck out with an extremely ferocious attack. When she saw Night Sorrow's attack, the female cultivator who wanted to cut the Eternal Divine Tower immediately retracted her attack. Using a ghostly movement technique, she dodged the Desolate War Halberd's attack and attacked Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, watch out! Seeing the female cultivator attacking Night Sorrow, Little Five reminded and controlled the tower to crash towards the female cultivator. Night Sorrow, on the other hand, cast the Merit Trap Array at the female cultivator. He guessed that the female cultivator was also afraid of the power of merit, so she did not choose to cast the Divine Essence Trap Array. Kill! 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 Trapped in the Merit Trap Array, the female cultivator immediately roared like a mad woman. Then, her aura suddenly advanced from the peak of the upper heavenly supreme to the half-step to the extreme realm. After raising her cultivation to the half-step to the extreme realm, the female cultivator's aura instantly became much stronger. The sword in her hand also emitted a shocking bloody light in an instant. The merit trapping formation was actually slashed open by his sword in an instant. What a ferocious demoness! She should be at least a half-step to the extreme realm. Little Five immediately judged when he saw how ferocious the female cultivator was. Hearing this, the Desolate War Halberd said in annoyance, "Anyone can see that. What's the use of saying all this? It's indeed useless." Night Sorrow also said and used the Supreme Dragon subduing technique to summon the Kuan Pong. Now that he had advanced to the Heavenly Supreme level, the Kuan Pong he summoned had also become stronger. After it appeared, it grabbed at the frenzied female cultivator. Kill! Seeing the Kuan Pong attacking her, The female cultivator who had fallen into madness roared and went against the heavens, slashing at the Kuan Pong. I think her weakness should be her head. After all, her wound is there. After using the Kuan Pong to restrain the female cultivator, Night Sorrow channeled the gentle dragon roar. This time, he channeled the power of the Azure Sea into the gentle dragon roar. After roaring, the female cultivator who was about to kill the Kuan Pong with her sword immediately fell from midair. She hugged her head and wailed. Her weakness is really here. Little Five, do it. After the female cultivator wailed, the wound on her head kept bleeding. Night Sorrow immediately reminded Little Five. I didn't expect that she would be dealt with so suddenly. I didn't react in time. After hearing Night Sorrow's reminder, Little Five reacted and hurriedly controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to suck the female cultivator and the long sword into it. After doing all this, he transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Wait for the Eternal Divine Tower to convert the female cultivator and the long sword into energy. Not only can it channel no less than 10 attacks, but it can also help you advance to a Middle Heavenly Supreme. Okay, I'll go up and take a look at the ancient coffin. You and Desolate Silence wait for me below. Although Night Sorrow also felt that the female cultivator was subdued a little too easily, he didn't dwell on it too much. He flew straight into the void and towards the top of the high platform. When he flew near the ancient coffin, he immediately looked inside, but found that there was nothing in the ancient coffin. Moreover, the ancient coffin was only made of sycamore wood. Although it looked similar to the ancient coffin in the space, it was obviously extremely ordinary. After opening the sea serpent's eye and observing for a while, Night Sorrow didn't see anything. He casually kept it in the space. He said, "It's just an extremely ordinary coffin. I thought it was some amazing treasure that had to go through a test." Desolate Silence said disdainfully when he heard Night Sorrow say that it was just an ordinary item. At this moment, Little Five asked, "Since we have the ancient coffin, shouldn't we leave this place? How can we get out?" Chapter 3269. This small space is only so big. It shouldn't be difficult to find a way out. Let's investigate carefully. After Little Five finished speaking, Night Sorrow swallowed a few recovery pills. While recovering his essence energy, he began to search for the exit. He originally thought that there were opportunities in this small world. However, there was only one coffin. This was somewhat different from what he had imagined. Let's go out and observe. Night Sorrow observed for a while, but did not discover anything. At this moment, the male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer suddenly sent a voice transmission. "All right, come out and take a look. See if you can find any clues." Night Sorrow investigated and discovered that there was nothing in front of him apart from the high platform. After summoning the restriction-breaking hammer, he looked up at the void. Back then, that male cultivator had soared up from the void and disappeared into the horizon. He was thinking that if the restriction-breaking hammer could not find anything, he would fly in the direction of the void and see where he could go. After the restriction-breaking hammer came out, it began to search for array patterns in the space. However, after investigating for a while, it was the same as Night Sorrow. It did not find any clues at all. The male hammer was a little dejected. "Looks like it's really difficult to get out of here." "It's okay. Didn't that male cultivator fly away from the void? Let's fly towards the void and see what we can find." There was really nothing below. After saying that, Night Sorrow put away the restriction-breaking hammer and the desolate war halberd. He soared up and kept flying toward the void. After flying for about 6 hours, suddenly, they saw a floating palace appear in the sky. This palace floated above the clouds and was surrounded by dense fog. Night Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye and observed for a while. He actually could not see through the fog. He sent a voice transmission. "I can't see through this palace. There should be a way. Let's go in and take a look. If we don't go in, we won't be able to find the way back. Let's go in and try our luck." According to what that old wolf said, it's definitely not that easy to get out of here. The desolate war halberd agreed and continued. You should just summon me out. No matter what, I'm still a half-step supreme realm divine artifact. I'll be of great help to you. As a divine artifact, Night Sorrow had put it into his space grotto heaven out of consideration for his safety. He felt a little embarrassed. Good, then come out, Night Sorrow said and summoned the Desolation War Halberd. Holding it in his hand, he flew towards the palace in the void. When he got closer, he saw the plaque hanging on the lintel of the palace. There were 3 large words engraved on it. Northern Heaven Gate. Northern Heavenly Gate? Does it mean we're at the end of the day? You sure talk big, the Desolate War Halberd said in disdain when he saw the plaque of the Northern Heaven Gate. As for what it means, we'll know once we enter. After saying this, Night Sorrow released his divine domain and walked towards the Northern Heavenly Gate. Who dares to offend my tea on you? However, just as he was about to reach the Northern Heaven Gate, a cold and indifferent voice suddenly scolded. Then, a bearded man in silver armor suddenly flew out from the plaque. I'm looking for a way out of this world. Please do me a favor. It was better to meet someone than to fly around aimlessly. Night Sorrow looked at him and realized that the bearded man had the strength of an upper heavenly sovereign. Moreover, he should be considered a powerhouse among the upper heavenly sovereigns. His aura was very powerful. You want to ask me for directions? It's very simple. Just defeat me. The bearded man in silver armor, Meng Ming, roared and released his divine domain. He then took out a battle axe and slashed it at Night Sorrow. I'll defeat you. Very well. Seeing that Meng Ming was about to attack, Night Sorrow immediately waved the Desolation War Halberd to block it. Boom! Although Meng Ming was powerful, his battle axe was only at the level of a heavenly sovereign. Under the attack of the Desolation War Halberd, it was immediately shattered. No, you're relying on the power of a divine artifact. What kind of ability is that? Let's have a fair fight. Meng Ming roared in dissatisfaction when his battle axe was shattered. Hearing this, the Desolation War Halberd said unhappily, You big bearded man, find a powerful divine artifact, if you can. You don't have to say anything, Desolation. Go back to the space cave. I'm confident in dealing with him. Night Sorrow said, and put away the Desolation War Halberd again. He then fought with Meng Ming barehanded. Seeing that Night Sorrow had really put away his divine artifact, Meng Ming laughed and said, You're quite straightforward. Do you dare to fight me in close combat? Why not? Night Sorrow replied and activated the Tristrimsive Battle Mystic Technique. When Meng Hong attacked him, he immediately used the word formula of the 100 Words mantra. He used the 33-word mantra continuously to suppress Meng Ming and increase his strength. He quickly suppressed Meng Ming. Good move. However, it's all in vain. I, Meng Ming, am invincible in close combat. After fighting for a while, Meng Ming roared and suddenly transformed his body into a wolf head and a human body. His hands also turned into claws. His attack power became much stronger. Facing Meng Ming, who had transformed into a wolf head, Night Sorrow was not afraid at all. He secretly activated the Phoenix bloodline in his body and increased the speed of the 9 heaven-defying steps. He used speed to fight with Meng Ming. With the help of this graceful movement technique, Night Sorrow quickly gained the upper hand. Although Meng Ming's attack power was very strong, he could not touch Night Sorrow at all. After fighting for a while, he was completely subdued. After being defeated, Meng Ming did not act shamelessly. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, If you want to leave this small world, you have to obtain the inheritance in the palace. As for what the inheritance is, I'm just a gatekeeper. I don't know. However, it should be related to the Wolf Clan. Can I just enter this palace directly? Night Sorrow asked after Meng Ming finished speaking. Now that he had a clue, it was much better than running around aimlessly like a headless fly. Meng Ming said, Let me remind you, there are no rules in the Wolf Clan's world. It all depends on strength. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded and ignored Meng Ming. He slowly flew into the palace from the Northern Heaven Gate. He flew straight into the palace. After entering the palace, Night Sorrow immediately saw 2 wolf heads with halberds. When the two wolfmen saw Night Sorrow, they were startled at first. Then they shouted, "An enemy has invaded!" Following the two wolf-heads' shout, dozens of heavenly sovereigns from the wolf clan rushed out of the palace. Good heavens! So many of them have come out at once. How are we going to deal with them? Seeing dozens of heavenly sovereigns from the wolf clan rush out of the palace, Desolate Battle was speechless. Although he had a half-step to Supreme State Divine Artifact, he was not in a good state now. It was not that easy to kill heavenly sovereigns. Night Sorrow said calmly, "Since they are here, let's take things as they come. With my speed, it is not difficult to deal with them." Chapter 3270. Are you saying that we should use our speed to shake them off and then kill them one by one? The Desolate War Halberd immediately asked after hearing Night Sorrow's words. There were many werewolves in front of them. If they fought head-on, even if they could win, they would suffer heavy losses. He felt that they could only use their wits and not their strength. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would be impulsive. "Don't worry, I'm not that stupid." After the Desolate War Halberd finished speaking, Night Sorrow knew what he was thinking. He explained and then used the Treastrimsa battle mystic technique. He used the 9 steps of the heaven-defying 9 steps. He attacked the first 2 werewolves with the Qingxian godly spear technique. These 2 werewolves were only middle heavenly sovereigns. It was impossible for cultivators of this level to block Night Sorrow's Desolate War Halberd. They were instantly killed. However, the strange thing was that after the 2 werewolves were killed, they immediately turned into nothingness, leaving no trace behind. Night Sorrow immediately asked, "Xiao Wu, did you keep their bodies in the Eternal Divine Tower?" "No, I didn't. In my opinion, these werewolves should be energy bodies or shadows. Once they are killed, they will completely disappear. Defeating them shouldn't give us any benefits. Even if we can't get any benefits, we still have to kill them. Otherwise, we won't be able to get out." Night Sorrow said, and then used the 9 steps of the heaven-defying 9 steps to widen the distance and kill the werewolves one by one. Although these werewolves were heavenly sovereigns and had strong combat strength, they were not very intelligent. They were killed by Night Sorrow like flying kites, but they continued to chase after him. After fighting for about 2 hours, Night Sorrow successfully killed all of the werewolves. Congratulations, you have passed the first stage. There are 3 more stages before you get the opportunity. Just as Night Sorrow killed all of the werewolves with the Desolate War Halberd, a voice suddenly came from the void. Hearing this voice, Night Sorrow asked, "Which 3 stages?" The only response he got was silence. Soon, a whirlpool-like black hole appeared in the originally sealed space. The Desolate War Halberd said, "This should be the entrance to the next stage, right? Shall we go in now?" "There's no rush. Let me observe first." As he spoke, Night Sorrow activated the Sea Serpent's eye and carefully observed his surroundings. After confirming that he hadn't found anything, Zhang Xian said, "Let's go in." With a Desolate War Halberd in hand, he walked straight into the black hole. After passing through the water-like hole, Night Sorrow and the Desolation War Halberd immediately appeared in a land of fire. This place was full of magma and hollowed-out rocks. The distance between the rocks was very far, and there was fiery red magma flowing below. "What do you want us to do?" The Desolate War Halberd looked around, but didn't see anything. "I'm not sure. If there's no guidance, I'll just fly straight ahead." Yishang said as he got up and prepared to fly up. He wanted to quickly investigate what was going on with this small world. But at this moment, he realized that he couldn't fly at all. Immediately, he said in surprise, "I don't think I can fly here. Try and see if you can fly." "I can't fly in a place like this." Hearing this, the Desolate War Halberd immediately gave it a try. However, just like Night Sorrow, he couldn't fly either. He immediately said helplessly, "It seems that you can't fly in this world. Looking at the situation in front of us, it must be very difficult to pass. But fortunately, we're not afraid of the magma. It should be fine. If I'm not wrong, falling into the magma will probably kill you." Night Sorrow, who used the sea serpent's eye to observe the magma, said. The desolate war halberd immediately asked, "What do you mean? Under the magma, there are all ghastly white bones. There's no flesh on each skeleton. I guess it's because the magma can melt flesh. As for divine artifacts, there's none down there. If I fall, I should turn into white bones. If you fall, you'll basically melt directly." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he continued, "I'll adapt to the gravity here. Let's see if I can jump between rocks. Then I'd better return to your space, grotto heaven." The desolate war halberd looked at the magma below and said, whether Night Sorrow's analysis was true or not, he didn't want to take such a risk. "All right, you go in." After hearing the desolate war halberd's words, Night Sorrow immediately stored him in his space grotto heaven. In order to verify his guess, he took out a heavenly supreme-level sword from his space artifact and threw it into the magma. After the sword fell into the magma, it immediately melted as if it had never been in. If a heavenly supreme-level divine artifact melted just like that, then I won't be any better if I fall in. Although the desolate war halberd, who was stored in his space grotto heaven, was also frightened when he saw the sword melt. It would be great if I could collect some of this magma. While the desolate war halberd was lamenting, Night Sorrow had the idea of collecting some of it. If he could collect some of this grade of magma, it might be useful in turning the tide in future battles. Hearing this, Little Five immediately said, "Let's give it a try. Let's see if we can collect some of it. Are you confident?" After Little Five finished speaking, Yishan sent a voice transmission. He didn't want the Eternal Divine Tower to be damaged because of this attempt. Of course not. But don't we have a heavenly, supreme-level divine artifact here? Let's give it a try and we'll know. Little Five said as he took out a palm-sized material and tossed it into the cauldron to examine it. He had taken this piece of material from the horn. Look, after the material from the horn entered, it didn't melt immediately. Since it's dead, we should be able to give it a try. After the material from the horn was thrown in, it didn't melt immediately like a heavenly, supreme-level divine artifact. Instead, it persisted for a long time. Little Five immediately became confident. He controlled the Eternal Divine Tower and tried to collect it. On his first try, he only collected about a jug of magma. Realizing that with the help of energy, the magma was of no use to him, Little Five immediately collected a large amount. After collecting about a jug, Little Five said, "This is our limit. If we absorb any more, we won't be able to do anything else." "All right, then let's stop here. Don't bite off more than you can chew." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he kept the Eternal Divine Tower in his space grotto heaven and began to get used to the gravity here. After getting used to it, he said something to the Eternal Divine Tower and began to try jumping. He jumped from one rock to another and continued to jump forward. This kind of jumping is still very efficient. We should be able to pass this stage easily. Seeing that Night Sorrow completed the jump between rocks easily, the desolate war halberd immediately relaxed. Hearing this, Little Seven immediately reminded, "Don't let your guard down. It definitely won't be so simple." Chapter 3271. I think so too. Since it's a test of inheritance, it definitely won't set such a simple checkpoint. If we can pass just by jumping, it's too childish. Xiao also analyzed. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, "I think so too. However, we'll just have to deal with whatever comes our way." As he spoke, he continued to jump forward. After jumping for about 4 hours, he did not see any other changes. Moreover, it looked the same everywhere. He could not see where the road ahead was. At this moment, the desolate war halberd said, "Are we going in a random direction that doesn't conform to the route here? This place looks the same everywhere. There shouldn't be any rules. There shouldn't be any right or wrong. We just have to keep moving forward." Night Sorrow said firmly as he continued to move forward. He was already used to the similar situation. In the next few hours, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. Although he could not see the end, he did not hesitate and continued to jump forward. Is it okay to move forward aimlessly like this? The desolate war halberd in the space hollow said impatiently. His murderous aura was very strong. He would rather choose to fight nonstop than to endure such torture. It's only been a few hours. Why are you in such a hurry? Xiaowu immediately scolded after hearing the desolate war halberd's words. She felt that he was trying to disturb their morale and was afraid that he would affect Knight Soro's mood. It's okay. Desolate, murderous aura, I don't have much patience. It's normal for him to say something. At this moment, Yi Shang spoke to calm him down. However, at this moment, he opened the sea serpent's eye and suddenly saw a huge black shadow under the lava. The black shadow was approaching from afar. Upon closer look, Knight Sorrow realized that there was a huge lava dreadwolf under the lava. This lava dreadwolf was not smaller than the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Although it was an upper heavenly sovereign, its aura was not inferior to a half-step to Supreme Realm. It was very terrifying. Knight Sorrow, who saw the lava dreadwolf, smiled and said, "Desolate, come out." Go out for what? Is there a battle? The desolate war halberd asked. You're right. We're about to have a fierce battle. Eternal Divine Tower, come out too. Knight Sorrow nodded and summoned the Eternal Divine Tower. He looked at the lava dreadwolf in the distance and said, Lava dreadwolf, I see you, come out. I didn't expect your eye skill to be so powerful. Once I devour you, and your eye skill will be mine. Realizing that Knight Sorrow had discovered it, the lava dreadwolf immediately stood up from the lava. Desolate, I can finally vent my frustrations. The desolate war halberd. The indomitable lava dreadwolf said disdainfully, In this place I, the lava dreadwolf, am the only king. Don't think you're so great just because you're a half-step supreme stage divine artifact. Shameless boasting. Desolate was. To Desto. At this moment, Yishang was thinking about how to deal with the lava dreadwolf before him. After all, he couldn't fly in this place. It would be very difficult for him to fight. Suddenly, Knight Sorrow had an idea and asked, Desolate, can you grow bigger? Of course. The desolate war halberd replied. All right, grow to 1,000 feet long. It's inconvenient for us to move around here. I'll stand still and use you to fight. The desolate war halberd was about to attack. Knight Sorrow felt that he couldn't dodge the attack by jumping. He had a sudden idea to make the desolate war halberd grow infinitely. The desolate war halberd smiled and said, That'll do. Let's teach that Alsatian a lesson. Then, it grew thicker and longer in front of Knight Sorrow's eyes. When the desolate war halberd was about 1,000 feet long, Knight Sorrow said, That's enough. He then extended his arm and palm and held the desolate war halberd in his hand. However, the difference in size between the two of them was too obvious. It looked like an ant holding a towering ancient tree in its hand. Many people have come here. You're the first one to think of fighting like this. But this is just child's play. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had lengthened the desolate war halberd, the desolate war halberd roared and charged towards them. During this process, he continuously stirred up the lava and shot it towards Yi Sorrow's position. Facing the lava, Knight Sorrow jumped and dodged. At the same time, he activated the Tristrimsa secret battle technique, Armageddon, Phoenix Bloodline, and Green Phoenix battle armor. He waved the desolate war halberd and slammed it at the desolate war halberd. The attack was so fast that the desolate war halberd couldn't dodge it in time and was sent flying. It fell into the lava with a loud crash. When the desolate war halberd got up, it roared ferociously, Desolate war halberd. Following the desolate war halberd's roar, an even bigger demonic wolf descended from the sky. Although this desolate war halberd was a spiritual body, its aura was very strong and was similar to the desolate war halberd. As soon as it appeared, the nether heavenly wolf howled towards the sky, and then it pounced towards Yi Sorrow. The desolate war halberd didn't fall behind and attacked at the same time. In its opinion, Night Sorrow didn't have the ability to defend against both of their attacks at the same time. At this time, Night Sorrow was facing the attacks of the two giant wolves. He immediately sent a telepathic message to Little Five, absorbed the female cultivator's accumulated attack, and attacked the two wolves once. Okay, this time, absorb the female cultivator and her divine weapon and prepare a total of 7 attacks. It's enough to deal with the current situation, Little Five replied. At the same time that Night Sorrow attacked the Desolate War Halberd, it also attacked the two wolves once. The Desolate War Halberd, who thought that victory was in his hands, didn't even notice the inconspicuous Eternal Divine Tower. It didn't react at all. It also had a half-step Supreme Class Divine weapon and couldn't dodge at all. It was hit by the Eternal Divine Tower. Well done. Seeing that the Eternal Divine Tower had sent the two wolves flying, Night Sorrow praised it and shot the Desolate War Halberd at the Desolate War Halberd. At the same time, he gathered his divine spirit energy and roared at the Desolate War Halberd. The two wolves, who were already injured by the Eternal Divine Tower, lost half of their lives after being attacked by such powerful attacks. After that, although he continued to use his techniques, he was still killed by Night Sorrow in the end. After killing the two wolves, a whirlpool-like black hole appeared in the sky above where Night Sorrow was. This black hole was similar to the one he had entered. Without hesitation, he kept the Desolate War Halberd and the Eternal Divine Tower and jumped into the black hole. When he reappeared, Night Sorrow found himself in an extremely evil small world. Chapter 3272. This small world looked like a tranquil herb field. However, those planted in the herb field were all cultivators. From afar, they were densely packed with the heads of cultivators. From the waist down, they were planted in the soil, looking extremely evil. There are probably tens of thousands of cultivators planted here. Judging from their auras, they should all be heavenly sovereigns. Tens of thousands of heavenly sovereigns planted in the herb field. What is the person who did this plotting? Night Sorrow observed with the sea serpent's eye and found that the people in front of him were all heavenly sovereigns. The scene in front of him was so strange that it made his scalp tingle. Even the knowledgeable Eternal Divine Tower and Desolation War Halberd could not help but feel uncomfortable when they saw the scene in front of them. Xiaowu speculated, I think someone is using these heavenly sovereigns to nourish the herb field in front of us. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. I think someone is using this herb field to nourish these cultivators and cultivate them into monsters with terrifying combat strength. Desolation War Halberd, who had transformed into a human, said slowly. Hearing their words, Yishan nodded and said, It's very likely that it's as you've analyzed. However, no matter what the reason is, we have to pass through this place. This is bad. We can't fly here. Does that mean we have to walk step by step through the herb field in front of us? Desolation War Halberd tested it and found that the small world in front of them was the same as the one in the lava. They cannot fly. We can't fly indeed. It seems that we have to walk slowly through the herb field. Night Sorrow also tested it. After confirming that they could not fly, he summoned the restriction-breaking hammer and said, Look and see if there is a formation in front of us. The restriction-breaking hammer was summoned. After observing for a while, the hammer said, There is no formation. However, I feel that the scene in front of us is a little creepy. These cultivators who have been planted seem to be able to wake up at any time. Yeah, this place was a little too strange. If I had hair, it would definitely stand on end. Desolation War Halberd agreed. At this moment, Xiaowu suddenly said, I have an idea that we can try. Oh, what is it? Tell me. Night Sorrow turned to look at the arm-sized Eternal Divine Tower floating on his shoulder. Our Eternal Divine Tower can absorb all kinds of corpses and divine weapons and convert them into energy. Why don't we make a move and absorb them all? What do you think? Little Five said word by word. Although he had absorbed countless corpses and divine weapons, The current situation was too strange. He was not sure what the consequences would be. Hearing this, Night Sorrow pondered for a moment and said, "Anyway, there's a certain distance between them. How about this? Let's walk first and slowly pass through. If something happens, you can try again. How about it?" Yes, this was good too. We also feel that it's a little inappropriate to absorb all of this. Little Five replied and did not say anything else. Then, Night Sorrow asked, "Do you want to enter my space grotto heaven or stay outside? There are no formation patterns here. It's useless for us to stay here. Let's go in." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer said, and then they were absorbed into the space grotto heaven. As for the Eternal Divine Tower and the Desolate War Halberd, they were worried that something would happen to Night Sorrow and stayed outside. Therefore, with the Eternal Divine Tower on his shoulder and the Desolate War Halberd in his hand, Night Sorrow braced himself and walked towards the herb field where countless cultivators were planted. If this was not a place that he had to pass through, he would definitely not make such a choice. As for the cultivators who were planted, the distance between each of them was about 30 feet. The gap in the middle was enough for people to walk through. However, when he stepped into the herb field, Night Sorrow had a very uncomfortable feeling. The soil under his feet was very moist. After stepping on it, even his ankles would sink into the soil. Looking at the surrounding cultivators who had sunk up to their waists, the Desolate War Halberd said worriedly, "Night Sorrow, you have to be careful. Don't sink too deep. If you're planted here like these people, it'll be terrible. I don't want to step into the soil either, but I can't float here at all. I have to walk one step at a time." Night Sorrow said helplessly. As the person involved, he naturally felt his scalp tingle. As he walked, he observed the surrounding cultivators who were planted. At this moment, the Eternal Divine Tower was already standing on Night Sorrow's shoulder. After entering the herb field, they could not float either. Clearly, they were suppressed by something. Not good. Why do I see a cultivator in front opening his eyes and smiling at me? Right then, the Desolate War Halberd suddenly roared. Where? Hearing that, Night Sorrow asked in surprise. At this moment, he was in a high-intensity state of anxiety. The third one on the left in front. Look, he's still smiling, the Desolate War Halberd said. Night Sorrow looked in the direction he pointed out. Wasn't that right? Indeed, a cultivator had opened his eyes and was smiling at them. That kind of smile made people's hair stand on end. When Night Sorrow first saw it, he felt that it was a little creepy, but on second thought, he was immediately angered. He snorted coldly and said, "It's just a trick. We don't need to care about it." He felt that no matter where he was, he had to have an invincible heart. Although this place was very creepy and made one's scalp tingle, he had to calm his mind. All right. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Desolate War Halberd immediately responded and looked in another direction. Night Sorrow looked at the cultivator who was grinning sinisterly again and said, "You've already been planted here. What's there to laugh about? Go to sleep peacefully. Otherwise, you'll only be in an even worse state than now." After saying that, he continued to walk forward with a cold face. However, after taking a few steps, he realized that his feet, which had sunk into the soil, were grabbed by a pair of cold hands. Finally can't hold back anymore. Night Sorrow, whose feet were grabbed, snorted coldly and activated the Tristrimsa battle mystic technique. Then he forcefully lifted his left foot. A pale white hand was still grabbing onto his ankle. Let go. Desolate slash. Night Sorrow saw that the pale hand was still grabbing him. He immediately waved the Desolate War Halberd and slashed down. The pale hand was instantly cut off. Then, Night Sorrow did the same and cut off the other hand with the Desolate War Halberd. Amidst Desolate's worried words, they continued forward. After walking for a while, Night Sorrow looked at the Desolate War Halberd and said, "You have a shocking killing intent on your body. Why are you so timid? This doesn't make sense at all." "It's not that I'm timid, but this place is too creepy," the Desolate War Halberd said helplessly. Then, he said in horror, "Oh no, Oh no! Chapter 3273. What's wrong? What's wrong? Knight Sorrow asked with a frown when he heard the desolate war halberd's words. I didn't mean to disturb your morale. Look, all the cultivators around us have opened their eyes and are looking at us. The desolate war halberd knew that Knight Sorrow was a little unhappy with his shouting, so he immediately explained. Hearing this, Yishang looked around. Isn't that right? Tens of thousands of cultivators planted in the herb field had opened their eyes and were looking at him. Their gazes were more terrifying than the one before. Being stared at by so many strange cultivators with such strange gazes is truly unbearable. Seeing that many cultivators had opened their eyes, Knight Sorrow didn't blame the desolate war halberd. However, he couldn't fly at all and could only walk forward step by step. He suddenly felt a lot of pressure. Moreover, his footsteps became heavier and heavier as he walked. If it was just an ordinary lower heavenly sovereign walking in the herb field at this time, it would be difficult for him to walk. Damn, these demons and ghosts are laughing at the same time. At this time, the desolate war halberd, who had been paying attention to them, spoke again. Knight Sorrow heard this and said, Don't look at them. Let's not be distracted and continue moving forward. Okay, I'll block it and stop looking. The desolate war halberd replied and simply blocked his perception. He didn't smell or ask. This way, I won't be affected by them. Knight Sorrow said and continued moving forward. At this time, Little Eight, who didn't have much contact with him, asked, I'm curious. Are you not affected by these strange things at all? Haha, compared to Knight Sorrow's previous experiences, this is nothing at all. It's not to the extent that he's afraid of everything. Little Seven replied after Little Eight asked. He had been in contact with Knight Sorrow the longest and had heard all of Knight Sorrow's past experiences. He knew how determined his mind was. Something is grabbing my ankle again. At this time, Knight Sorrow's expression suddenly froze. Then he exerted force with his left foot and pulled it out of the soil. This time, there were 3 pale hands on his foot. As he raised his foot, the arms suddenly grew longer. Desolate halberd slash. Knight Sorrow once again used the Desolation War halberd to slash at these arms. However, he discovered that after these arms were cut off, they instantly grew back. What happened? Little Five asked when he saw the 3 hands on Knight Sorrow's leg grow back after being cut off. I'm not sure either. These hands can regenerate. It's not easy to deal with them. We can't stay here for too long. Knight Sorrow said and stopped attacking the arms. Instead, he increased his speed and ran forward. As Yishang continued to run in the herb field, more and more arms grabbed onto his legs. It looked like a dense crowd. It's hard to look at. Being pulled by these hands, Knight Sorrow had already started to run. He could only walk forward step by step. After running nonstop, they were only 2,000 feet away from the outside of the herb field. Knight Sorrow, are you all right? What can we do? Seeing that Knight Sorrow was having a harder time walking, Little Seven immediately asked with concern. It shouldn't be of much help to me. I think I know how this barrier is set up. As Knight Sorrow struggled to walk forward, he said, I should be pulled out of this medicinal field by these cultivators. Otherwise, I'll be planted here forever. Yes, I think so. It's really difficult to deal with them. After Little Seven heard this, she said, We will help you. Then he took out an oval-shaped pill from the Eternal Divine Tower and said, This is the great strength pill that we brewed a few days ago. After consuming it, your strength will increase by 10 times for an hour. However, during this time, the strength of your soul will decrease by 10 times. Right now, what you need the most is strength. Hurry up and consume it. This pill was brewed by the Eternal Divine Tower after absorbing the energy of the horn. However, it wasn't of much help to Knight Sorrow's battle, so he didn't mention it. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was in such a difficult situation, he immediately took it out. Thank you. This thing is really useful now. After receiving the pill, Knight Sorrow didn't hesitate and immediately consumed it. Then, he continued to walk forward. After about an hour, with the support of the pill, he successfully walked to a distance of 500 feet away from the medicinal field. However, when he reached here, the pill's effect completely dissipated. Knight Sorrow, whose strength had decreased by a lot, immediately felt that he was being controlled. Under the pull of so many hands, he couldn't lift his legs at all. He immediately asked, "Little Seven, do you have any more of that pill?" "No, because it's useless, we brewed one." Little Seven replied helplessly, "It's okay. I'll think of a way myself." Knight Sorrow felt that he couldn't lift his legs, and his body kept sinking. At this moment, he was almost knee-deep. He didn't dare to be careless. He immediately used Armageddon and activated the Phoenix Bloodline and the Green Phoenix armor, as well as the Dragon of Merit. With their help, Knight Sorrow used the Desolation War Halberd as a support and lifted his legs again. After walking for another 300 feet, when there were about 200 feet left, he was restrained again. At this moment, there were countless hands grabbing his legs. Under this situation, his body continued to sink until his knees were completely swallowed. "Knight Sorrow, let me help you." Under this situation, the Desolation War Halberd suddenly turned into a human and stood at the side pulling Knight Sorrow, wanting to pull him up. However, just as the Desolation War Halberd turned into a human, his legs were also grabbed by many hands. He also sank. Desolation. Seeing what happened to the Desolation War Halberd, Knight Sorrow was completely anxious. Under this situation, he thought for a moment and immediately used the Supreme Dragon subduing technique to summon the Kuin Pung. He wanted it to pull them out. However, the Kuin Pung had just appeared when it suddenly fell to the ground. It was absorbed by the medicinal field. It didn't even cause a splash. This place is really terrifying. We won't die here forever. The Desolation War Halberd saw him and Knight Sorrow gradually sinking and immediately said in a panic. However, halfway through, Knight Sorrow interrupted him and said, "We will successfully leave this place." After saying that, he roared, "Eternal Divine Tower, suck all the demons and monsters in the vicinity into it." Originally, he didn't intend to use this move. However, he had already tried his best, but he still couldn't walk out. He didn't care anymore. "Okay, let's try." Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Little Five immediately responded, "You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.